Chapter 1304. The Heavens Beyond's God abode was not only Feng Huangmei's cave abode but also a place where the major forces of heaven and earth's beyond discussed matters. What puzzled all the forces in heavens beyond was that the Heaven Lord of Heavens Beyond, Feng Huangmei, would usually hold a meeting when the patriarchs of the major forces were present. This time, none of the patriarchs returned. Feng and Huang Mei's meeting was something that had never happened before. As the only third-step expert in the beyond of heaven and earth, no one dared to not attend the meeting, regardless of whether it was strange or not. Yi Mo, Huang Mei, and the rest knew very well that the voices of heaven beyond heaven had to be unified as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Duan clan of 7 Soas would arrive at heavens beyond soon. The sacred Tao world's deputy sect master, Luo Qinghe, was not in the beyond of heaven and earth, so Ding Jie was in charge of the sacred Tao sect. Ning Qing understood that Ding Jie had an extraordinary relationship with the sacred Tao sect's sect master since Ding Jie had the right to speak for the sacred Tao sect. The response to the Heaven Master's Mansion's General Assembly came very quickly. Ning Cheng, Feng Huangmei, Shilin and Ding Jie had not sat down for long when a group of powerhouses arrived at the Heaven Master's Mansion's assembly hall. Other than Shilin, who was already seated here, the first protector of the Myriad Domain auction, Wrathpot, was also here. Min Clan's clan head Min Xin, Mao Clan's clan head Mao Wuliang, Heavens Beyond Rest House manager Qiu Yi, and Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion's pavilion master La Suo were all here. Once Ning Cheng arrived at Heavens Beyond, Mao Wiao found out. The Mao clan and Ning Cheng had a grudge, but the Mao clan's old ancestor wasn't in the sky beyond heaven, and Ning Cheng's strength was too terrifying. If he didn't see Ning Cheng, he could pretend not to know anything. Now that Ning Cheng was here, it was obvious that Ning Cheng would be a part of the beyond of heaven and earth in the future. He could only take the initiative to greet Ning Cheng. Feng Huangmei knew best about the predicament the beyond of heaven and earth was facing. When he saw that everyone was present, he did not even say anything unnecessary. Instead, he went straight to the point and said in a heavy tone, "I'm sure everyone knows why I invited everyone here. I don't need to tell you how powerful the 7 So Duan clan is. Now that the Duan clan of the 7 Pagodas has suffered a great loss in heaven and earth, they will definitely not let this matter rest. I invited everyone here to discuss this matter together." Although Feng Huangmei, Ning Cheng and the others had already discussed it, Feng Huangmei still wanted to ask for everyone's opinion. Although this method was watertight and wouldn't offend anyone, it would take up too much time. La Suo snorted and was the first to stand up. "Tao Monarch Heaven Lord, we are indeed aware of this matter. However, this matter has nothing to do with our Tool Pavilion. The Remote Cliff Tool Pavilion did not offend the Duan clan. Now, someone has offended the 7 Sockets Duan clan, yet you want us to take the blame? Isn't this going too far?" While speaking, La Suo also glanced at Ning Cheng and Ding Jie. Everyone knew that Ning Cheng and Ding Jie fought against Duan Yushui on the street and that Ning Cheng killed Ding Jie with one slap. Ning Cheng was a bit puzzled. In his opinion, the first to stand up should be the Mao clan. Unexpectedly, before the Mao family said anything, La Suo of the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion was the first to stand out. La Suo was at the early stage Tao integration realm. In terms of cultivation level, he was only slightly higher than Ning Cheng and Ding Jie. Shilin frowned slightly. The Infinite Domain auction didn't have any conflict of interest with the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion, but the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion definitely couldn't stay out of this matter. Unless the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion immediately withdrew from Heavens Beyond, it was obvious that the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion would not do that. Ning Cheng did not speak, as speaking at this time would be equivalent to disrespecting Feng Huangmei. Feng Huangmei's expression did not change. He just smiled slightly. "In that case, the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion doesn't plan to resist the 7 Sockets Duan clan with us?" La Suo was afraid of Feng Huangmei, but the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion's patriarch, Lu Saishi, was also a creation realm expert. Feng Huangmei wouldn't dare to do anything to him. "Yes, Tao Lord Heavenly Lord. This matter has nothing to do with the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion. We don't want to get involved in this mess." This sentence was even more straightforward. Feng Huangmei nodded. "Who else doesn't want to get involved in this mess? Speak up." Mao Wuxue wanted to stand up and speak several times, but he saw that Min Shen of the Min family, Qiu Yi of the Heavens Beyond In, and Shi Lin of the Infinite Domain Auction did not speak. After all, he also knew the Seven Sockets Duan clan's strength. Even if he stood up here, he would still be their enemy. After waiting for a few breaths, Feng Huangmei said, "If you don't speak, it means that you will advance and retreat with us, regardless of life or death. Pavilion Master La Suo, you can leave now." La Suo had thought that after he stood up and spoke, everyone would definitely respond together. He had not expected that he would be alone. No one stood up after him and no one supported his words. Now, Feng Huangmei actually wanted him to leave. This was Heavens Beyond, and the remote cliff weapon pavilion was one of the 7 major forces in the past. Seeing that no one spoke up for him, La Suo could only speak up himself. Tao Lord Heavenly Lord, the remote cliff weapon pavilion is also a part of Heavens Beyond. The remote cliff weapon pavilion has no reason not to participate in the Heavens Beyond meeting. Ning Cheng was really impatient because of this fellow. Time was precious, and this fellow was still muttering to himself, how could he bear it? This time, without waiting for Feng Huangmei to speak, Ning Cheng stood up, took a step forward, and raised his hand to grab La Suo. La Suo was an early-stage Dao integration expert after all. When Ning Cheng's aura pressed down, he hurriedly instigated his Dao rune domain, wanting to tear apart the space that Ning Cheng was binding him in. However, when he took a step back, he knew that the surrounding space had been completely enveloped by Ning Cheng's aura. His Dao runes of the Great Dao slowed down, and so did the laws. In the face of this spatial restriction of condensed laws, his resistance was like struggling in a muddy pit, clumsy and slow. A moment later, his domain made a cracking sound. Ning Cheng broke through La Suo's domain and raised his hand to grab La Suo's neck. This is a meeting to discuss how to protect Heavens Beyond. Since you think that the remote cliff weapon pavilion has nothing to do with this meeting, you should leave as soon as possible. As he said that, Ning Cheng raised his hand and tore. A crack appeared in the spatial array in the hall. Ning Cheng shook his hand and threw La Suo out of the crack. He was not afraid of Lu Saishi, let alone an insignificant early-stage Dao integration cultivator from the remote cliff weapon pavilion. Everyone in the room sucked in a breath of cold air. He was so strong. Even Feng Huangmei's eyebrows twitched. Although Ning Cheng was currently at the late-stage primordial chaos realm, deep down, he still felt that he was slightly stronger than Ning Cheng. At that moment, he saw Ning Cheng raise his hand to grab La Suo and tear the spatial array before throwing him out without destroying it. He immediately understood that Ning Cheng's strength was definitely not weaker than his. This was another ruthless person like the Sacred Dao Sect Master, whose strength had far exceeded his expectations. However, this was even better. The stronger Ning Cheng was, the better it would be for Heavens Beyond. Mao Wuxu felt a chill down his spine. He was sure that Ning Cheng's strength was several times stronger than when he had barged into the Mao family. Given his strength, even if the Mao family's patriarch returned, he might not necessarily be able to restrain him. At the thought of this, Mao Wuxu secretly rejoiced that he had not stepped forward. Heavenly Lord Feng, fellow Taoists. I've just arrived at Heavens Beyond, so I don't know how many void array entrances there are from each plane, Ning Cheng said straightforwardly after throwing La Suo away. He felt that Feng Huangmei's way of handling things was too slow. Usually, this speed did not matter. However, this was a critical time, so this kind of speed could not be handled. Feng Huangmei answered without hesitation, there are 108 void array entrances in Heavens Beyond of Heaven and Earth. Once you enter any array entrance, you will be teleported to the same place, which is the Heavens Beyond Square. If you want to leave Heavens Beyond, you have to pass through the Heavens Beyond Square. There is also a restriction array on the Heavens Beyond Square, but its level is far inferior to the void array entrances outside Heavens Beyond. Ning Cheng said in a solemn tone, Heavenly Lord Feng, I suggest that we seal the Heavens Beyond Square now. Then, we can discuss in detail how to manage these void array entrances. What do you think? Upon hearing Ning Cheng's words, Feng Huangmei looked at everyone in the hall. Nobody raised any objections. Since they were sitting there, it was equivalent to being on the same side. They did not know if sealing the heavens beyond would be useful, but this was a necessary first step. At the very least, after this step was done, Heavens Beyond could retreat or defend and they could talk face to face on the Heavens Beyond square. Otherwise, given that there were no restrictions on entering and exiting Heavens Beyond, it would be a mess once experts poured in. I support this. Shi Lin was the first to stand up. Then Min Xin and Qiu Yi stood up as well. At this point, Mu Wuxiu had no choice but to stand up and support them. Feng Huangmei was very straightforward this time. He directly took out several array flags and threw them into the void. At the same time, he sent a message out. The creation realm experts from the major forces of Heavens Beyond were not around, so Feng Huangmei was in charge of the safety of Heavens Beyond. Feng Huangmei did not have much ambition and was on good terms with the major forces. Thus, he was the most suitable person to handle this matter. A series of booming sounds could be heard in the void. Ning Cheng felt the changes in the spatial law and felt slightly relieved. As an array Dao expert, Ning Cheng knew very well what was going on. When the space confinement array closed, the spatial law would change like this. As the booming sounds gradually subsided, Feng Huangmei said, "I've already sealed the space array of the Heavens Beyond square and someone has gone to protect it. Now, after the people outside Heavens Beyond teleport in, they can only stay on the Heavens Beyond square. Unless they attack by force, there's no way for them to enter Heavens Beyond." Ning Cheng cupped his fists again and said, "Everyone, it's not realistic to seal the void teleportation array doors in all directions of Heavens Beyond. After all, there are too many experts, so it's easy to offend more people. What we need to do now is to control the people entering and exiting the Heavens Beyond square." Before Ning Cheng could finish his sentence, a flying sword landed in Feng Huangmei's hand. Feng Huangmei grabbed the messenger flying sword and his expression changed. Someone is attacking the Heavens Beyond square by force. To be honest, although Heavens Beyond did not dare to provoke the powerful realm forces, it was not a place where any small fry could attack the Heavens Beyond square. As if to prove Feng Huangmei's words, a series of spatial rumbles followed Feng Huangmei's words. The laws in the void fluctuated violently. Obviously, someone was really attacking the defense array of the Heavens Beyond square. Chapter 1305. As soon as the square was sealed, someone attacked the Heavens Beyond square's array. Naturally, no one would stay here for a meeting. When a group of people rushed to the Heavens Beyond square, the people attacking the square's array still hadn't stopped. Feng Huangmei looked at Ning Cheng, who had come up with this idea. Ning Cheng's cultivation level wasn't any weaker than his. Ning Cheng nodded at Feng Huangmei and said, "Open the array door of the Heavens Beyond square. Since someone is attacking the array, let's see who the expert is." In fact, as soon as Ning Cheng arrived, he knew that the person attacking the array was not very strong. He was proficient in the array Dao, so the spatial fluctuations caused by the array attack were far from Feng Huangmei's cultivation level. When the array door of the Heavens Beyond opened, there were dozens of people on the square. Among these dozens of people, only a woman had Dao runes flowing around her. Obviously, she was the one who had attacked the array. Seeing the sealed array door open, everyone trapped on the square came over. However, facing experts like Feng Huangmei, no one dared to break through the array door. The Heavens Beyond is a place that belongs to all planes. How did you lock the entrance to the Heavens Beyond? When the array door opened, the woman was the first to walk over. She was dressed in red, had a delicate figure, delicate facial features, and a noble aura. Even though his cultivation wasn't the highest, he stood out from the crowd. The reason why Ning Cheng said that her cultivation level was not the highest was that he knew the people around her. Feng Xian was from the Boundless Palace. Feng Xian was a late-stage Dao integration expert. Although his combat power was average, his cultivation level was unquestionable. This woman in red should have just reached Dao integration, so her Dao runes were not flowing freely. Coupled with the attack on the square's array, the Dao runes around her were overflowing. I was wondering who was being arrogant here. It turns out to be Palace Master Feng Xian. Palace Master Feng Xian has been to the Great Simplicity Realms several times. I didn't expect that when I came to the Heavens Beyond, Palace Master Feng Xian still came looking for me. Palace Master Feng really likes to attack other people's defense arrays. You attacked the Great Simplicity Realm's defense arrays twice in a row, and this time, you attacked the Heavens Beyond Squares array. Impressive. Ning Cheng walked forward and said sarcastically. It turns out to be Dao Lord Ning. Dao Lord Ning, you must be joking. It's a pleasure to meet Dao Lord Ning here. Feng Xian cupped his fists and said awkwardly. As he spoke, his gaze swept across Feng Huangmei and the others, and he was even more shocked. Feng Qi and Feng Shi had perished in the beyond of heaven and earth. He knew that there should be experts in the beyond of heaven and earth. Otherwise, he would not have asked Yin Xingwen for help. The only thing he didn't expect was that there were so many experts here. Not to mention Ning Cheng, even Shi Lin and the others had cultivation no weaker than him, Feng Xian. As for this yellow-browed man, he couldn't even see through his cultivation. Could it be an expert who had stepped into the third step of the creation realm? How was this possible? Seeing that Ning Cheng and Feng Xian knew each other, Feng Huangmei and the others did not speak. If Feng Xian knew that Ning Cheng was in the beyond of heaven and earth, he would never have come. Of the people he feared the most, Ning Cheng was definitely one of them. After seeing Ning Cheng and a group of powerhouses from the sky beyond heavens, Feng Xian's desire to seek revenge and find the phoenix true blood turned cold. He had been to the beyond of heaven and earth before, but he had never seen the yellow-browed man. It was evident that he did not understand the true power of the beyond of heaven and earth. Ever since his green lotus fragment had been taken away, he could only leave the Great Change Realm. He had originally planned to come to the beyond of heaven and earth by himself, but he had met Tang Tsongyin, who was from the same clan. This woman's combat strength was so strong that he was afraid, which gave him a little hope of finding that trace of phoenix bloodline. Lord Han Huang, Ding Jie, who was standing next to Ning Cheng, called out in surprise. The red-robed woman also saw Ding Jie and smiled slightly. Taoist Ding, long time no see. Is Sect Master Yi here? Ning Cheng looked at Ding Jie in confusion. Taoist Ding, do you know them? Ding Jie nodded and said in a low voice, yes, she's Lord Tang Tsongyin of the Phoenix clan. She has a good relationship with Sacred Tao Sect Master Yi. Brother Ning, why don't we invite Lord Han Huang in? Since we know each other, come in and sit down. Ning Cheng said with cupped fists. Ding Jie was on the same side as him. Tang Tsongyin had a close relationship with the Sacred Tao Sect's sect master, so he naturally had to give her some face. Tang Tsongyin heaved a sigh of relief when she heard this. She had believed Feng Xian's words and thought that the strongest people in heavens beyond were only one or two Tao integration sacred emperors. Now, she saw many powerful beings whose cultivation levels she could not see through. Even if there were no third-step powerful beings, these Tao integration holy emperors were not people she could defeat. Seniors, what should we do now? Upon seeing Tang Tsongyin and Feng Xian walk out of the array door and enter the beyond of heaven and earth, the rest were a little anxious. Originally, when they saw Tang Tsongyin stand out to stir up trouble, they wanted to fish in troubled waters. Now that Tang Tsongyin knew someone and was about to reconcile, they were naturally anxious. The heavens beyond of heaven and earth's plaza array was led by Feng Huangmei. Even if these people had not said anything, he would have stepped forward to deal with this matter. Otherwise, as more and more people were teleported to the beyond of heaven and earth square from the void array door, something would happen even if nothing happened in the end. Fellow Taoists, heavens beyond of heaven and earth is not open to the public for the time being because it needs to be reorganized. There is a teleportation array on the beyond of heaven and earth square. We will soon arrange for people to be in charge of this matter and give notices at the major void array doors. After Feng Huangmei said that, he told a mid-stage Tao integration holy emperor beside him, Quan Shi, you stay on the beyond of heaven and earth square and temporarily take charge of this matter. I'll also stay with Taoist Quan Shi, said Nu Hu, who was beside Shi Lin. Nu Hu was at the late-stage Tao integration realm and was the strongest expert in the infinite realm auction after Bitter Fish. Feng Huangmei was overjoyed. That's for the best. With Nu Hu and Quan Shi here, as long as it was not a third-step expert, it would be impossible to attack the array on the square. Any Dao integration expert here could kill everyone on the square in seconds. No one dared to object to Feng Huangmei's words. Not everyone who came to the beyond of heaven and earth had the confidence of Duan Yushui. As some cultivators who had been denied entry were teleported away, the beyond of heaven and earth square became clear again. Everyone, we won't go to the Heavenly Lord Hall. We'll have a brief discussion here and then take action immediately. After experiencing this incident, Feng Huangmei knew that he could not waste time on discussions. Ding Jie was about to invite Tang Tsongyin to stay in the sacred Dao sect temporarily when the petite Tang Tsongyin in red stepped forward. Fellow Daoists, I just came here. For some reason, I rashly attacked the array on the beyond of heaven and earth square. I apologize here. After saying that, Tang Tsongyin bowed. Coupled with her sincere words, no one took this matter to heart. After bowing, Tang Tsongyin said again, Daoist Ding Jie, you know that I'm from the Phoenix clan. I'm a disciple of the Phoenix clan. 2 disciples of the Phoenix clan came to the beyond of heaven and earth but were killed for no reason. Not only did this person kill the disciples of the Phoenix clan, but he even snatched a trace of the ancient 7-colored Phoenix bloodline. Ning Cheng did not speak, as this matter had nothing to do with him. However, it was a waste of time for Tang Tsongyin to mention this matter at this time. Feng Huangmei frowned slightly. If Tang Tsongyin had not been friends with the sacred Dao sect master, he would have impatiently asked her to leave. Now that Tang Tsongyin had spoken, he could only say, Daoist Tang, do you know who touched the disciples of the Phoenix clan? Tang Tsongyin suddenly pointed at Mao Wuxiao. It's this person. The trace of the 7-colored Phoenix bloodline is in him. I can feel it. Mao Wuxiao's face was a little ugly. Just as Feng Huangmei had thought, if an ordinary person had come looking for him, he would have slapped him away. However, Tang Tsongyin was a friend of the sacred Dao sect master, so he did not dare to make a move. Besides, he would not be a match for Tang Tsongyin and Feng Xian. Feng Huangmei was also in a difficult position. No one wanted such a thing to happen at this critical time. After hesitating for a while, Feng Huangmei could only say, Daoist Mao, how about this? You return the trace of the 7-colored Phoenix bloodline to Daoist Tang. Let's stop this temporarily and not continue to get entangled. What do you think? Mao Wuxiao nodded helplessly. Okay, I agree. Mao Wuxiao could only agree. Once a fight broke out, no one would help him. It would be a good thing if Ning Qing did not kick him when he was down. As for Ding Jie, he would probably help this woman. When the Mao family's patriarch returned, the Mao family would not be like this anymore. I agree too. Before Feng Xian could speak, Tang Tsongyin took the initiative to speak. Her purpose was not to take revenge for Feng Qi, but for the trace of the 7-colored Phoenix bloodline. After obtaining the trace of the 7-colored Phoenix bloodline, Tang Tsongyin and Feng Xian did not immediately leave Heavens Beyond. Instead, they entered Heavens Beyond. Feng Huangmei did not care whether Tang Tsongyin stayed or left. He finally heaved a sigh of relief and looked at Ning Cheng. Daoist Ning, if the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas wants to come to Heavens Beyond, they must pass through the square. I mean, let's set up a confinement killing array on the square first. Okay, that's exactly what I meant. Ning Cheng knew that they were not necessarily facing the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas. There might be experts from other planes. In the past, Heavens Beyond's geographical location was important. Some experts did not like trouble and were even more unwilling to come to Heavens Beyond. Occupying territory was simply what mortals did in the secular world. They were high and mighty experts, so why would they be willing to do such a vulgar thing? However, things were different now. The creation indestructible axe had appeared in the void of the Jialiang realm. Who would not be tempted when this news spread? Moreover, since the creation indestructible axe had appeared, who could be sure that other creation Dharma treasures would not appear one after another? The easiest way to find out about these things in the other planes was naturally to occupy Heavens Beyond. In Ning Cheng's opinion, he had set up a confinement killing array on the square of Heavens Beyond. As long as there were no integration realm experts there, no one could touch Heavens Beyond. Once an integration realm expert appeared, he would not be able to stop them. Chapter 1306. In just a few days, Feng Huangmei and the others witnessed Ning Cheng's powerful array Dao. Even Feng Huangmei himself had to admit that compared to Ning Cheng, he was too far behind. With the help of so many experts, Ning Cheng completed setting up the confinement-killing array on the Heavens Beyond Square on the 9th day. If it had been an ordinary confinement-killing array, given Ning Cheng's current cultivation level, he would have been able to set it up in less than half a day. Ning Cheng knew very well that an ordinary confinement-killing array could not even be solved by the Duan clan of the Seven Pagodas, let alone intimidate the experts of the other planes. Daoist Ning, I know that your array Dao is very strong, but I didn't expect it to reach such a level. I'm afraid only Sect Master Yi of the Sacred Dao sect can compare to you. Heavens Beyond has two of you. Although I dare not say that we can sleep peacefully, we don't have to worry about a force like the Duan clan of the Seven Pagodas, Feng Huangmei said emotionally as he closed the last array foundation of the confinement-killing array. Ning Cheng smiled. Just as he was about to speak, he heard a clear phoenix cry coming from the center of Heavens Beyond. Then, the entire space of Heavens Beyond was filled with surging Dao runes, which shook the space. A bright red phoenix shadow stood in the void, raising its head to the sky and letting out a clear cry. Its voice directly broke through the many restrictions and fell into everyone's ears with incomparable clarity. Is this the third step creation realm? Qiu Yi, the manager of the Heavens Beyond Rest Inn, said in shock. He had already thought of Tang Tsongyin, who had taken away a trace of the ancient seven-colored phoenix bloodline. Could that woman have reached the third step Dao validation? That was impossible. She had been at the early stage Dao integration realm. Only a few days had passed? That was right. It was very likely that Palace Lord Feng, whom Ning Cheng had mentioned, had reached the third step Dao validation. It's not the third step. It's Phoenix's nirvana, Feng Huangmei said with a solemn expression. Ning Cheng also said, it's indeed not the third step, but this Dao rune cry means that her strength is probably not weaker than that of a third step expert. Ning Cheng had said that she was not weaker than a third step expert. He meant that she was at the false realm like Feng Huangmei. The phoenix cry and the Dao runes in the void showed a powerful nomological aura. Ning Cheng knew that his strength was above Feng Huangmei's, which was why he was sure that the strength of the void Dao charm explosion wasn't any weaker than Feng Huangmei. Ning Cheng had also heard about the phoenix's nirvana. It was a transformation of the Dao, something that only the powerhouses of the ancient god beasts and the demon race could experience. Let's go and have a look. Feng Huangmei was the first to take the lead, while Ning Cheng and the others quickly followed behind. No matter what, they could not ignore the appearance of such an expert in Heavens Beyond. Many people had already guessed that this person was either Tang Tsongyin or Feng Xian. Many thanks to Dao friends from the Heavens Beyond Rest House for allowing Tsung Han to use this place to successfully fuse with my Phoenix race's ancient seven-colored Phoenix bloodline, allowing her to undergo nirvana in the Heavens Beyond Rest House. Before everyone arrived at the Heavens Beyond Rest House, a red-robed woman flew out. She was still in the void, but her voice could be heard. It was Tang Tsongyin, who had asked for a strand of her Phoenix bloodline. Feng Xian followed Tang Tsongyin with a respectful look. Judging from his appearance, he should have been subdued by Tang Tsongyin. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness landed on Tang Tsongyin. In just 9 days, Tang Tsongyin had advanced from the early-stage Dao integration realm to the late-stage Dao integration realm. After fusing with a strand of the ancient seven-colored Phoenix bloodline, she looked even more noble and elegant. There was clearly nothing behind her, but it gave people the feeling that she was waving the colorful feathers of a phoenix. It seemed that she could transform into a phoenix and fly away at any time. The phrase, without a colorful phoenix, could describe Tang Tsongyin at that moment. The powerful Dao circulation in her body no longer slowed down and was completely smooth. Ning Cheng could tell at a glance that Tang Tsongyin was probably stronger than Feng Huangmei, who was at the false realm. He had not expected that Tang Tsongyin could fuse with the ancient seven-colored Phoenix bloodline. This ancient bloodline could at most improve one's aptitude and allow one to comprehend a heavenly divine ability. If it was so easy to fuse with the ancient bloodline, Feng Xian would have succeeded in creating a realm long ago. Why would he wait until today? This woman was really not simple. She had done what Feng Xian could not in a few days. She had even made Feng Xian, whose cultivation level was much higher than hers, willingly hand over his bloodline and follow behind her. The moment Feng Huangmei saw Tang Tsongyin, the corners of his eyes twitched. Unlike Ning Cheng, although he knew that Ning Cheng was strong, but from the beginning to the end, Ning Cheng did not give him even the slightest bit of pressure, nor did he pose any threat to him. Now that Tang Tsongyin was standing here, a sense of oppression came over him, and he could not help but want to make a move. This kind of oppression was not the oppression that a Dao integration holy emperor felt toward a creation realm expert, but the oppression of an expert with a slightly higher cultivation level. Feng Huangmei took a deep breath and said with cupped fists with a smile, "Congratulations on your success in your Dao, Taoist Tang. It's an honor for heavens beyond to let Taoist Tang fuse with the ancient seven-colored phoenix bloodline." He also knew how difficult it was to fuse with the ancient bloodline. Like Ning Cheng, he had not expected that Tang Tsongyin could successfully fuse with the ancient bloodline. Tang Tsongyin nodded faintly and looked at Mao Wuxiao. "Your family killed 2 disciples of my Feng family. We can settle this matter now." When Tang Tsongyin said that, even Ning Cheng, who had a feud with the Mao family, frowned, let alone Feng Huangmei. They had agreed before that their grudges would wait until the matter of heavens beyond being targeted by the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas was resolved. He had not expected that Tang Tsongyin, who had perfected her Dao through the ancient bloodline, would immediately come to settle the score. Mao Wuxiao's expression was a little ugly. The Mao family had always liked to kill and rob. However, ever since Ning Cheng had attacked the Mao family and killed a Dao integration expert and a genius disciple, Mao Wuxiao had personally set up a family rule. He would not allow any Mao family disciple to be arrogant outside. If such a thing happened again, he would kill without mercy. Because of this, he had simply given that drop of ancient 7-colored phoenix bloodline to Tang Tsongyin. Now that Tang Tsongyin had fused with this drop of ancient phoenix bloodline, she wanted to deal with the Mao family. Even if Tang Tsongyin had not fused with the ancient 7-colored phoenix bloodline, Mao Wuxiao would not be a match for Tang Tsongyin and Feng Xian. Feng Huangmei coughed. He knew that he had to stand up and speak for this matter. Unexpectedly, before he could speak, Tang Tsongyin's gaze fell on Ning Cheng. "I heard that you also killed a disciple of the Phoenix clan and snatched the mountain river dipper?" Upon hearing this, Mao Wuxiao was actually relieved. He had not expected that Tang Tsongyin would dare to drag Ning Cheng into this. Feng Xian, who was standing aside, was very anxious. He had already told Tang Tsongyin that Ning Cheng's strength was not inferior to his, so he should not provoke Ning Cheng for the time being. He had not expected that Tang Tsongyin would still point out Ning Cheng, which was definitely a mistake. Ning Cheng was stunned for a moment. He had not expected that Feng Xian would dare to let Tang Tsongyin stand up for him. It seemed that he had not taught Feng Xian enough. He was not Mao Wuxiao. Tang Tsongyin had fused with the ancient 7-colored phoenix bloodline. Mao Wuxiao was afraid of her, but Ning Cheng was not afraid of her. "You're right. I did kill that scum." Tang Tsongyin, who had a cold expression, suddenly giggled as if she was not the one with the stern face. After giggling, she looked at Ning Cheng and said, "Good courage. I hope that your strength is as strong as your courage." Feng Xian had indeed said that Ning Cheng was very strong, but only she knew that. After fusing with a trace of the ancient 7-colored phoenix bloodline, her Dao had undergone nirvana. Few people could imagine the strength of the Phoenix clan's Dao nirvana. After nirvana, she had not only activated the Phoenix bloodline in her body, but she had also completely fused with the innate divine abilities of the Phoenix clan. Given her current strength, she would not be afraid even if a third-step world creation realm expert, whom she had never seen before, came over. After this was over, she would continue to bathe in the Phoenix flame and undergo nirvana for the second time before stepping into the third step. "Wait." Feng Huangmei stepped forward again and said, "Taoist Tang, the heavens beyond is in a troubled state. Please bear with it for a while, Taoist Tang." Tang Tsongyin had a smile on her face. Before she could answer Feng Huangmei, Another roar came from the heavens beyond square. Tang Tsongyin giggled again. It seems that I'm not the only one attacking the heavens beyond square's array. Ning Cheng was not in the mood to talk to Tang Tsongyin anymore. If Tang Tsongyin wanted to make a move, he could take it at any time. However, the expert attacking the heavens beyond square was obviously not an ordinary Tao integration's sacred emperor. The Tao rune law of the void fluctuation was far stronger than the fluctuation of Tang Tsongyin's previous attack. Boom! Ning Cheng and the others had just arrived at the square's array when another roar came. The entire defense array trembled and a bloody aura spread. Ning Cheng cursed inwardly. Feng Huangmei also felt the bloody aura and opened the array door immediately. Quan Shi was seriously injured and had lost an arm. Nu Hu, who was covered in blood, stood side by side with Quan Shi in the corner of the array door. Opposite them stood 3 men and 2 women. Between these 3 men and 2 women and Quan Shi, there were 2 headless corpses. Ning Cheng recognized the 2 headless corpses. They were the deacons who followed Quan Shi and were in charge of the Heavens Beyond Square's teleportation array. One had a Tao transformation cultivation level, while the other had a primordial Tao cultivation level. Tao Lord. Quan Shi breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Feng Huangmei coming over. He swallowed a few elixir pills but did not repair his arm. Who did it? Although Feng Huangmei was a nice guy, it did not mean that others could kill his people at will. If he could endure killing people from the Heavenly King's abode on the Heavens Beyond Square, he would not have reached this point today. Ning Cheng did not speak. His spiritual consciousness locked onto his creation divine spear. He knew one of the 5 people. It was Duan Ruixue, who had the weakest cultivation level. Among the other 4, 2 were creation realm experts and 2 were perfected Tao integration experts. In Min Husheng's words, the 2 creation realm experts were just false realm experts. It's that woman called Duan Yuxue. Quan Shi's voice was a little hoarse. As he spoke, he looked at the 2 creation realm experts. In fact, if Feng Huangmei, Ning Cheng, and the others had not rushed over in time, he and Nu Hu would not have been spared. Ning Cheng understood Quan Shi's gaze. The 2 creation realm experts had suppressed Quan Shi and Nu Hu and made Duan Yuxue kill them. After making Duan Yuxue kill them, she had even cut off one of Quan Shi's arms. Quan Shi, a Tao integration expert, had had one of his arms cut off by a primordial chaos woman without being able to resist. Chapter 1307. Ning Cheng did not speak. No matter what Feng Huangmei did, he would fully support him. He was already prepared to make a move. Once Feng Huangmei made a move, he would immediately stop one of the creation realm experts. I've heard of the 7 Sockets Duan clan for a long time. Is this how the Duan clan does things? They kill people the moment they come. Is there no reason in this world? As Feng Huangmei spoke, killing intent surrounded his body and a massive Tao rune aura began to slowly suppress him. Feng Huangmei was ready to make a move as he said that. He just wanted to tell others that he did not make a move for no reason. Haha. A creation realm expert among the 5 laughed. I thought that Heavens Beyond was filled with nobodies. I didn't expect that there would be a creation realm expert. That's right. This is how the Duan clan does things. Those who kill must pay with their lives. The people of Heavens Beyond killed a friend of the Duan clan. It's only right that everyone in Heavens Beyond should pay with their lives. Before Feng Huangmei could make a move, Ding Jie said angrily, "What a bunch of bandits. The Duan clan just killed 2 people. Are you going to be exterminated as well? Just because of what you said, the place where you are will be destroyed." After another Tao integration expert said that, he raised his hand and grabbed Ding Jie. The arrogance of the 7 Sockets Duan clan was vividly displayed. In their eyes, Heavens Beyond was a remote place where even birds did not poop. It was as if they had said a few words here and given Heavens Beyond special favor. Ning Cheng had long been impatient with Feng Huangmei's indecisive attitude. If he had been in Feng Huangmei's shoes, he would not have said any nonsense and would have made a move directly. At that moment, the Tao integration expert was about to make a move on Ding Jie. Ning Cheng took out the creation divine spear first and blasted it over. At the same time he shouted, "What are you waiting for?" Feng Huangmei attacked at the same time as Ning Qing shouted. Feng Huangmei's Dharma treasure was a broken lamp. When the broken lamp was taken out, it immediately transformed into waves of lamp flame Dao patterns. The Dao runes of these Dao patterns merged with his Dao runes and immediately locked onto one of the creation realm experts. Ning Cheng and Feng Huangmei each took action, while Nu Hu and Quan Shi did not hesitate to attack. The Wrath Pot was aimed at another Dao integration stage cultivator, and the Quan Shi was aimed directly at Duan Yuxue. Duan Yuxue was just a puny primordial chaos sacred emperor, yet she dared to insult a Dao integration expert like him and even chop off one of his arms. If he didn't kill this ant, he wouldn't be able to get rid of the depression in his heart. Shi Lin and the others wanted to step forward to help, but unfortunately, there was still a creation realm powerhouse left. Even if they stepped forward, they would only be sending themselves to their deaths. When the World Creation Realm Powerhouse saw his people dealing with Ding Jie, and yet Ning Cheng dared to take the initiative to attack, he immediately became furious. A pentagonal copper token appeared and shot towards Ning Cheng. He wasn't afraid that the Dao integration stage cultivator of the Duan clan was no match for Ning Cheng. Rather, Ning Cheng's actions had infuriated him. A mere chaotic essence Holy Emperor dared to attack a Dao integration stage Holy Emperor from the Duan family of 7 towers? This was going against the heavens. He wanted to smash Ning Cheng's body into minced meat, extract Ning Cheng's principal spirit, and slowly teach this arrogant ant a lesson. The Dao integration stage Holy Emperor who was attacking Ding Jie was also furious. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen such an arrogant ant like Ning Cheng, who was only at the primordial chaos stage. Without hesitation, he extended his spatial domain and tried to restrain Ning Cheng. The reason why he didn't take the initiative to kill Ning Cheng was because the World Creation Realm powerhouse of the Duan clan of 7 towers had already attacked Ning Cheng. He didn't dare to fight with a World Creation Realm powerhouse. To him, killing Ning Cheng was a kind of pleasure. Crack! A crisp cracking sound rang out. The Dao integration stage Holy Emperor's expression changed drastically. His spatial domain couldn't even break through Ning Cheng's defensive domain, let alone restrain Ning Cheng. Moreover, the spear that he didn't take seriously at all had easily torn through his spatial domain and directly restrained all his movements. No, the perfected Dao integration stage powerhouse immediately screamed when he sensed the aura of death. Ning Cheng wouldn't let him live just because the other party was careless. The creation divine spear swept up killing intent and took advantage of the situation to attack. Puff! A mist of blood splattered, and the Dao integration stage Holy Emperor no longer appeared in front of Ning Cheng's creation divine spear. Ning Cheng was already far stronger than the perfected Dao integration stage Holy Emperor, and the Dao integration stage Holy Emperor still wanted to restrain Ning Cheng. This was simply courting death. Boom! At the same time, the World Creation Realm powerhouse of the Duan clan of 7 towers slammed into Ning Cheng's protective domain. The yellow aura around the pentagonal bronze token exploded, and Ning Cheng's protective domain directly cracked open. A powerful backlash of Dao runes came over, and Ning Cheng's creation divine spear was pulled back, but it was still blasted away. The World Creation Realm powerhouse didn't use his full strength, but Ning Cheng's counterattack still forced him to take a few steps back. You killed Isu? You dared to kill the Dao integration stage Holy Emperor of the Duan clan of 7 towers. The World Creation Realm powerhouse found that his casual attack had only sent Ning Cheng flying. After a few seconds, he pointed at Ning Cheng and roared in disbelief. Ning Cheng shook his head speechlessly. How arrogant was the Duan clan of 7 towers to say such words? In the eyes of the Duan clan of 7 towers, if they wanted to kill someone, that person would have no choice but to be killed. Any resistance would be disgraceful. There's also me, Quan Shi. I also killed someone from the Duan clan of 7 towers. After saying that, Quan Shi deliberately took a step forward and stood next to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had blocked the attack for Ding Jie, so Ding Jie stood on the other side of Ning Cheng without hesitation. Is the Duan clan of 7 towers that amazing? From today onwards, I will kill everyone I see. Ding Jie was furious. If Ning Cheng had not blocked the attack for him, he definitely wouldn't have been a match for the perfected Dao integration stage powerhouse. He might have been killed in a short time. The creation realm powerhouse had been focused on killing Ning Cheng and hadn't cared about Duan Yushui. In his opinion, there was no need for him to care. In this battle, even if he hadn't taken action, the other members of the Duan clan of Seven Towers could easily deal with Feng Huangmei and the others. Only then did he see that Duan Yushui had also been killed. 5 people from the Duan clan of Seven Towers had come over, but only 3 of them were still there. 2 of them were creation realm powerhouses and 1 was at the perfected Dao integration stage. Feng Huangmei's hair was messy, and the Dao rune aura around him was somewhat agitated. Clearly, he had gone all out in the battle just now. Nu Hu's Dao runes were also agitated, but the killing aura on his body was extremely condensed. It seemed like he was ready to fight again at any time. Yuwu, things are a little different from what we expected. The strength of heavens beyond of heaven and earth is much stronger than we imagined. We can't fight head-on. The creation realm powerhouse who was fighting Feng Huangmei calmed down completely. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to the creation realm powerhouse who wanted to kill Ning Cheng with 1 slap but was repelled by Ning Cheng. The creation realm powerhouse who was fighting Ning Cheng also calmed down. The Duan clan of 7 Soas was arrogant and treated everyone else like ants. However, that did not mean that he was an idiot. Earlier, Ning Cheng had easily repelled his slap despite being restrained by a perfected Dao integration expert from the Duan clan of 7 Soas. He had even killed the perfected Dao integration expert from the Duan clan of 7 Soas. His strength was definitely not weaker than his. Coupled with the yellow-browed man and several Dao integration experts who had yet to make a move, it was impossible for the Duan clan of 7 Soas to take revenge this time. The scene seemed a little strange. The Duan clan of 7 Soas had come, but they had not fared well. Furthermore, things had already come to this point. Even if they wanted to leave, it would not be easy. Given the strength of heaven and earth's beyond, it did not seem impossible for the few of them to stay here. If the square had the help of a confinement killing array, it would be more likely. Previously, the Duan clan of 7 Soas had not taken heaven and earth's beyond seriously, so they had not cared about these things. Now that they had treated heaven and earth's beyond as an opponent, these auxiliary methods had been recalled. Ever since Ning Cheng had killed the perfected Dao integration expert from the Duan clan of 7 Soas with 1 spear strike, Tang Songyin's eyes had been fixed on Ning Cheng. The strength that Ning Cheng had displayed had far exceeded her expectations. Although she thought that she was not weaker than Ning Cheng, she should not be much stronger than him either. She was a little hesitant. Should she continue to look for Ning Cheng and snatch back the mountain river dipper? It looks very lively here. A hearty laugh rang out. Following that, a man in brown clothes appeared in the square. Behind him were 2 other people. Upon seeing this person, Feng Huang's heart jumped. The man in brown was another creation realm expert. How could the Duan clan of 7 Soas have so many experts here? The 2 creation realm experts from the Duan clan of 7 Soas also raised their eyebrows, as this person was not from the Duan clan of 7 Soas or even the 7 Soas realm. After the man in brown said that, he realized that at least 3 people on the square had a cultivation level that was not weaker than his. The casual expression on his face disappeared, and he asked with cupped fists in a slightly solemn tone, "I'm Zhou Ming from the 9 Heavens realm. I've heard of heaven and earth's beyond long ago, but this is my first time here. May I know who's in charge here?" Feng Huang sighed in his heart. Sure enough, what should come would come. The people from the 9 Heavens realm had also come. It seemed that it was only a matter of time before people from other realms came here. The creation indestructible axe could be condensed anywhere. Why did it have to come to the Jiaoliang realm to condense? Feng Huang was worried. He had not expected that even if the creation indestructible axe had not condensed in the Jiaoliang realm, heaven and earth's beyond would still be famous. Heaven and earth's beyond was an important location, as it was the intersection of various planes and realms. Once people knew that the creation indestructible axe had appeared in other planes, how could they escape from this? I'm the Heaven Lord of the heavens beyond of heaven and earth, Feng Huang. Greetings, Taoists Wa. You've really brought glory to the heavens beyond of heaven and earth. Feng Huangmei was worried, but he could only step forward and greet him. After greeting Feng Huang, Zhuo Ming's gaze fell on the two creation realm experts from the Duan clan of Seven Soas. As for primordial chaos sacred emperors like Ning Cheng and those Dao integration sacred emperors, he did not intend to greet them at all. Duan Yuwu from the Duan clan of Seven Soas from the Duan clan of Seven Soas greets Taoist Zhuo Ming. The creation realm expert who wanted to kill Ning Cheng with the pentagonal bronze token also greeted him with cupped fists. The Duan clan of Seven Soas could look down on heaven and earth's beyond, but he dared not ignore the experts from the Nine Heavens realm. Duan Jingmu from the Duan clan of Seven Soas from the Duan clan of Seven Soas greets Taoists Wa. Another creation realm expert from the Duan clan of Seven Soas also greeted him. He looked much shorter than Duan Yuwu, but he was calmer and his cultivation level was slightly higher than Duan Yuwu's. Chapter 1308. Taoist Zhuo must be here for the indestructible good fortune acts, right? Feng Huangmei was very straightforward. At this time, he simply took the initiative to bring it up. If Zhuo Ming was here for the indestructible acts, then he wasn't wrong. If Zhuo Ming wasn't here for the indestructible acts, then it would be good to discuss the Duan clan of Seven Ways. Zhuo Ming laughed heartily. That's right, Celestial Lord Maple. He heard that the good fortune indestructible axe was condensed in the Jiaoliang realm. Although he did not expect to obtain it, he still wanted to come and take a look. In addition, I was entrusted by the Nine Heavens realm to find a place to stay in the beyond of heaven and earth so that I don't have to spend a lot of time on the road. As soon as Zhuo Ming said that, Huang Feng knew that he was right. The heavens beyond of heaven and earth had become famous because of the indestructible axe, so it would probably become more lively in the future. Duan Yuwu replied faintly, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, Taoist Wa. The Duan clan of the Seven Ways also wanted to find a place to settle in the beyond of heaven and earth. In the end, 3 of us were killed before we could settle down. If not for fellow Taoists' sudden arrival, I reckon that they would have opened the trap and kill array and trapped us in this square. After some observation, Duan Yuwu was sure that this plaza definitely had a confinement killing array. Feng Huangmei's face turned livid with anger, but Ning Qing calmly spoke up, Dao friend Shi, why don't you tell the whole story to this Dao friend Zhuo, let's see who's talking with his butt. Zhuo Ming did not care about Duan Yuwu's words, but looked at Ning Qing in amazement. In his opinion, Ning Qing was at most a late-stage primordial chaos expert. A late-stage primordial chaos expert was not qualified to speak in front of a creation realm expert. But at this time, Ning Qing not only spoke before Heavenly Master Feng Huangmei but also dared to ridicule Duan Yuwu, a powerhouse in the world creation realm. This seemed to be completely different from the Nine Heavens realm. In the Nine Heavens realm, people with low cultivations were not allowed to speak casually in front of people with high cultivations without their permission. However, he saw that everyone there looked very calm. Even Duan Yuwu, who had been ridiculed, only looked angry but had no intention of making a move. He knew that this late-stage primordial chaos cultivator was not ordinary. Shi Lin came from the auction house, so he was naturally eloquent. Even if Ning Qing didn't say anything, he would have stood up to refute Duan Yuwu's shameless words. Shi Lin told him everything about how the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas had forcibly enclosed the land after they entered the beyond of heaven and earth. Even the reason why Ning Qing killed Feng Qi, he did not omit it. To be honest, for a person like Zhuo Ming, forcefully encircling a territory wasn't a big deal at all. The prerequisite was that you had to be able to crush your opponent. However, the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas was clearly not powerful enough to crush the experts of the beyond of heaven and earth. This kind of forceful encirclement was naturally a taboo. Zhuo Ming chuckled and said casually, Duan really didn't do the right thing. He also wanted to encircle heavens beyond. If heavens beyond strength was ordinary, he naturally would not have said that. Now that the heavens beyond of heaven and earth had suppressed the 7 aqua realms Duan clan duo, he wanted to say something fair. This would help him gain a foothold in the heavens beyond of heaven in the future. Of course, it was only limited to a single sentence. If they were to fight, he wouldn't step forward. Duan Yu Wu's expression was gloomy. He knew that Zhuo Ming didn't speak up for them not because they lacked logic, but because they lacked strength. No matter who's right or wrong, there's naturally a rule for encircling a territory in the beyond of heaven and earth. Another voice was heard. This voice came from outside the square's array. Only then did everyone realize that there were other experts in the beyond of heaven and earth. Ning Cheng was also secretly shocked. He only noticed them when this person walked over and spoke. It was obvious that this person's cultivation level was not weaker than his. 3 people, 2 men and a woman, walked toward them. What shocked everyone was that all 3 of them were creation realm powerhouses. Ning Cheng was a little speechless. He had thought that they had acted quickly. Unexpectedly, experts from all sides had already arrived at the beyond of heaven and earth, but they had not shown up. Feng Huangmei hurriedly turned around and greeted them with cupped fists. "Fellow Taoists, you've come from afar. As the Heaven Lord of the beyond of heaven and earth, I've really neglected you. You're too polite, Heaven Lord Feng. The beyond of heaven and earth is indeed a good place. We were just thinking about getting some land here." The tall purple-faced man at the front chuckled and said with cupped fists, "All right, may I know who you are?" Although Feng Huangmei was still consulting the few of them, he knew very well that the power structure of the beyond of heaven and earth had to be redrawn. Yi Shangli smiled. "Yen Lai is from the plane of the 3 elemental world. I hope that Heaven Lord Feng can guide me in the future." After Yen Lai finished his introduction, the long-bearded middle-aged man on his left also revealed a smile. He stepped forward, cupped his fists and said, "Tian Iha, from the Shi boundary." He had originally come for the imperishable creation axe. Now he had fallen in love with the beyond of heaven and earth. "I might have to meet you often in the future, so please take care of me, Celestial Lord Feng." That woman was originally standing on Yen Lai's right side. But after Tian Iha finished his introductions, she stepped forward and said, "Yi Shangli, from the innocuous realm. Like fellow Taoist Swa, I don't have any hopes of obtaining the good fortune indestructible axe. The beyond of heaven and earth is indeed a good place. I've never left the innocuous realm plane in the past, so I didn't know that there was such a wonderful place here." Yen Lai, Tian Iha, and Yi Shangli were all creation realm experts. But when the 3 of them introduced themselves, everyone could tell that Yi Shang's personality was the strongest. Although this woman had a voluptuous figure, she had a pair of almond-shaped eyes and a trace of murderous aura. Feng Huangmei and Ning Cheng looked at each other. They knew that the situation where the major forces occupied one side of the beyond of heaven and earth would no longer happen. The major planes around the beyond of heaven and earth had come here in search of the imperishable creation axe. They had bluntly said that they wanted to divide the beyond of heaven and earth. In fact, this did not affect Ning Cheng. He did not occupy much territory in the beyond of heaven and earth. He only occupied the piece of land that Shi Lin had helped him find. Of course, although the beyond of heaven and earth was huge, there were not many good places like Ning Cheng's. On the other hand, the Tao integration representatives of the major forces, such as the Mao family, the Min family, and the heavens beyond were a little dumbfounded. How could they say no when their patriarchs wanted to divide the beyond of heaven and earth when they were not in the beyond of heaven and earth? Upon seeing that no one stepped forward to speak, Min Shen braced himself and said, "Why don't we wait for everyone in the beyond of heaven and earth to arrive and discuss it?" Feng Huangmei knew what Min Shen meant. He wanted to wait for the Min family's patriarch, Min Husheng, to return. Yi Shangli, who had a murderous aura around him, said coldly, "There's no need. Everyone has a lot of things to do. If Min Husheng from the Min family doesn't return, are we going to keep waiting here? Heavenly Lord Feng, I suggest you take the lead and redivide the beyond of heaven. Of course, as Heavenly Lord Feng, you can choose one of them on behalf of the Jiaoliang realm." Yi Shangli's tone was forceful. She knew what Min Shen meant, but she did not give him any face. Ding Jie was very unhappy. "Why do we have to redivide it? Since we're late, we should think of a way to buy it." "Taoist Ning, you're also late. I don't see him enclosing or redividing the beyond of heaven and earth. The sacred Tao sect was not famous in the beyond of heaven and earth, but it occupied a lot of territory, which was even a little more than the Min family. What Yi Shangli meant was that the sacred Tao sect's territory had to be redivided. Are all ants in the beyond of heaven and earth so cheap? Don't you have any respect? Which clan in the beyond of heaven and earth are you from? If you tell us, we won't give you any soil. Seeing that Yi Shangli was about to flare up, Duan Yuwu rushed to scold her. After the Duan clan had suffered a loss, helping Yi Shangli at this time would only bring benefits and no harm. He could rope in Yi Shangli from the innocuous realm and also teach Ding Jie a lesson. If Ning Cheng had not stopped him, he would have killed Ding Jie long ago. Ding Jie had a primordial chaos cultivation level, yet he had dared to be so arrogant towards the Duan clan of the Seven Soas. Sure enough, after hearing Duan Yuwu's words, Yi Shangli nodded at Duan Yuwu. Clearly, he was very satisfied with Duan Yuwu's help. Taoist Yuwu, a mere primordial chaos ant, dares to do this. Just kill him. I believe that Heavenly Lord Feng will not mind. How could an expert like Duan Yuwu not know what Yi Shangli meant? He could kill Ding Jie directly. If Feng Huangmei tried to stop him, she would stop Feng Huangmei. As for ruthless people like Ning Cheng, who did not have any scruples, Duan clan's Duan Jingmu would naturally deal with them. After receiving Yi Shangli's promise, Duan Yuwu did not hesitate at all. He stepped forward and punched at Ding Jie. For a primordial chaos ant like Ding Jie, Duan Yuwu disdained to use his magic treasure. Yi Shangli stared at Feng Huangmei. As long as Feng Huangmei dared to attack, she would immediately find a way to stop him. At the same time that Duan Yuwu attacked, Ning Cheng had already brought out his creation divine spear. Sure enough, as soon as Ning Cheng moved, Duan Jingmu swept up thousands of rays of Tao rhymes towards Ning Cheng. Duan Jingmu's magic treasure was a rainbow spatial lock ring. He knew that Ning Cheng was powerful, so he immediately used the rainbow spatial shift. The rainbow spatial lock ring transformed into endless colors, and a myriad of Tao rhymes appeared in the sky. Those with weaker cultivations would not be able to tell which space they were standing on. Ever since he met Ding Jie, Ning Cheng had taken a liking to Ding Jie's character. Ding Jie had a clear distinction between gratitude and grudges. He did not hide his words, which made him much more comfortable to interact with than a scheming person like Shi Lin. Now that two world creation realm experts from the Duan clan wanted to kill Ding Jie with the help of Yi Shangli from the innocuous realm, Ning Cheng was furious. Even though he knew that Yi Shangli was putting on a show for Feng Huangmei, Ning Cheng could not tolerate such a thing. The creation divine spear transformed into time Tao marks. The second stage of time. Time flies like an arrow, time flies like a shuttle. All the space and colors would reappear under the time flies like an arrow. Under Ning Cheng's second stage of time, the fake colorful space that Duan Jingmu had transformed into turned illusory. The displaced space also gradually became real and returned to reality. Duan Jingmu groaned. Although this time divine ability was powerful, it was nothing much. Today, he would let Ning Cheng, an ant in the primordial realm, know what a world creation realm expert was. The rainbow spatial lock ring trembled in the void, and the endless colorful space instantly disappeared. The next moment, more colors shot out. Before these colors could lock onto Ning Cheng had already blasted out a finger. Order-breaking finger. In order to save Ding Jie, Ning Cheng did not hold back this time. He had already killed a Tao integration expert from the Seven Soas Duan clan. Even if he killed another world creation realm expert, it would not matter. Chapter 1309. The heaven-earth law shattered, and the Tao rune fluctuation shot out by the seven-colored sky ceiling ring weakened instantly. Crack! Duan Jingmu's protective domain was instantly shattered, and he quickly retreated in fear. A majestic force that seemed to be crashing down from the sky came crashing down at the same time. Duan Jingmu was horrified to find that his nomological divine power could not block this majestic force at all. The finger directly tore apart all the laws and gave birth to a new law. This law was not something that Duan Jingmu could control at all. The finger shadow split all the obstacles and broke into the area between Duan Jingmu's eyebrows. The massive divine essence and nomological power around Duan Jingmu dissipated, and the surrounding cultivators retreated one after another. The divine essence and Dao rune fluctuation of a creation realm expert, even if he was a false realm expert, would be extremely terrifying when his physical body perished. Boom! At the same time, Duan Yuwu was sent flying backward. The nomological fluctuation between heaven and earth did not stop. It surged ceaselessly in the square of heavens beyond. Duan Yuwu stared blankly at Duan Jingmu, who was only in the state of his principal spirit. He did not even care about the person who had pushed him back. Instead, he stared at Ning Cheng in shock. He knew that Ning Cheng was powerful, but he had not expected him to be so powerful. Duan Jingmu's physical body had been destroyed in just a short period of time. At that moment, even Duan Jingmu's principal spirit was on the verge of collapse. It was obvious that he had suffered serious injuries. If he had not been here, Ning Cheng would have destroyed Duan Jingmu's soul with just one more attack. How could a primordial chaos sacred emperor be so terrifying? That's right. The woman who had attacked him just now seemed to be only at the late-stage Dao integration realm. At that moment, Duan Yuwu's gaze landed on Tang Tsongyin, who was dressed in red. If Tang Tsongyin had not suddenly attacked just now, he would have killed Ding Jie. Tang Tsongyin seemed to be only at the late-stage Dao integration realm. How could she be so terrifying? Could a sacred emperor of heavens beyond defeat an opponent of a higher level? Furthermore, it was so terrifying. A late-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor could kill a creation realm expert. So could a late-stage Dao integration realm expert like him directly? Duan Yuwu fearfully looked at Shi Lin and the others, who had yet to make a move. If there were such experts in heavens beyond, the Duan clan of 7 Ways would not have to consider revenge. Duan Yuwu and Duan Jingmu, who only had an essence spirit, were shocked. The other creation realm cultivators, including Yi Shangli, stared at Ning Cheng and Tang Tsongyin in shock. Tang Tsongyin was slightly better. After all, she was a late-stage Dao integration expert. It was extremely rare for a Dao integration stage cultivator to challenge a creation stage cultivator. After all, it was still possible. Ning Cheng, a late-stage primordial chaos expert, had nearly destroyed Duan Jingmu's soul with one finger. Was this strength a primordial chaos sacred emperor? Moreover, Ning Cheng's finger just now contained the aura of ancient laws. When he brought out that finger, it felt like a supreme powerhouse from ancient times standing in the void, crushing the life of an ant. The ant did not resist at all and could only watch as it was crushed to death. Fortunately, after Ning Cheng cast out this finger, his face turned pale, and it seemed that he had paid a lot of effort, which made them feel a bit more at ease. Thank you, Sage Han Huang, for your help. Although Ding Jie abhorred evil, he knew that he would be dead if not for Tang Tsongyin. Tang Tsongyin did not care about Ding Jie's gratitude at all. She just stared at Ning Cheng in a daze. He was too powerful. She had thought that she was a little stronger than Ning Cheng. After seeing Ning Cheng's finger, she knew that if she, Tang Tsongyin, really fought with Ning Cheng, then she would most likely fall. Before this battle, she had hoped to take away the mountain river dipper from Ning Cheng. After seeing Ning Cheng destroy Duan Jingmu's physical body, she completely extinguished this thought. No matter how precious the mountain river dipper was, it could not compare to offending such a terrifying enemy. During cultivation, there were 2 kinds of people that could not be touched. One was people like Ning Cheng, who defied common sense and killed enemies who were above their level. Such people had unlimited room for growth. If they were not killed, there would be endless troubles in the future. She had already seen 2 of them. In addition to Sacred Dao Sect Master Yi, there was one more Ning Cheng. The other was a reincarnated almighty. Once one provoked such a person, one would be courting death. Duan Yuwu put away Duan Jingmu's principal spirit with a gloomy expression. He cupped his fists towards Feng Huangmin and said, "Sky Lord Feng, please open the teleportation array. I want to leave." Feng Huangmei ignored Duan Yuwu and looked at Ning Cheng, whose face was still a little pale. Ning Cheng looked at Duan Yuwu and said calmly, "You can leave, but leave Hengyang behind." In Feng Qi's ring, Ning Cheng found the point star compass but did not see Heng Yang. Feng Qi was telling the truth. He should have given Heng Yang to the Duan clan. Duan Yuwu said coldly, "I don't have Heng Yang with me. Even if you kill me, you won't have Heng Yang." Ning Cheng wanted to kill Duan Yuwu, but he was very weak now. If he wanted to make a move immediately, he would have to consume the quintessential essence of the universe. The quintessential essence of the universe was too precious, so Ning Cheng was not willing to consume a drop casually. Moreover, who knew if an expert like Duan Yuwu had an array-splitting escape talisman? Moreover, the creation realm experts here were not only from the Duan clan but also from the other realms. He had to be wary of Tang Tsongyin and Yi Shangli. Get lost. Go back and bring the letter to the Duan clan. Heng Yang belongs to me, Tai Su. Ning Cheng will find it. Ning Cheng finally gave up on killing Duan Yuwu. After Ning Cheng spoke, Quan Shi raised her hand and threw out an array flag. A teleportation portal appeared on one side of the square. 5 members of the Duan clan of 7 Soas had come in a pompous manner, but when they left, there were only 2 of them and 1 broken nascent divinity. Just as Duan Yuwu turned to leave, Ding Jie suddenly said, "I, Ding Jie, will also find your Duan clan. I didn't kill you today, but I won't forget it." Tang Tsongyin shuddered subconsciously. She did not think that Ding Jie was talking nonsense. She was well aware of the relationship between Ding Jie and Sect Master Yi. If Sect Master Yi were to find out that Ding Jie was almost killed, he would definitely look for the Duan clan of the 7 SOS given his temperament. She subconsciously looked at Ning Cheng. 2 experts that could not be judged by common sense. Once they joined forces to find the Duan clan could only pray for themselves. However, she was very satisfied with the fact that she had saved Ding Jie. At least Sect Master Yi owed her a favor. The Phoenix clan was considered pretty good in the sacred Tao world. Ever since she had come to Heavens Beyond, she had known that the Phoenix clan was nothing. If she had not integrated a trace of the ancient 7-colored Phoenix bloodline and gone through her first nirvana, the Duan clan could have easily destroyed the Phoenix clan. The ancient divine beast Phoenix clan should have been a high and mighty existence. Now that it had fallen to this point, Tang Tsongyin felt inexplicably sorrowful. After Duan Yuwu left, Zhuo Ming was the first to walk up and say with cupped fists, "Taoist Ning, you have a divine ability. You crushed a creation realm expert with your primordial chaos strength. I have never seen such strength." He had not even looked at Ning Cheng before because Ning Cheng was only a primordial chaos sacred emperor and was not qualified for him to care. Now that Ning Cheng had crushed Duan Jingmu, it meant that he could also crush Zhuo Ming. Moreover, a primordial chaos sacred emperor could crush a creation realm expert. This could not be compensated by cultivation techniques and aptitude. Given Ning Cheng's strength, even if he had any secrets, Zhuo Ming had no right to think about it. After Zhuo Ming from the 9 Heavens realm, Yen Lai from the 3 Elements realm and Tian Iha from the Shui realm stepped forward to greet Ning Cheng and reintroduce themselves. Even Yi Shangli from the innocuous realm could only humble himself and come forward to greet Ning Cheng. Feng Huangmei was very happy. Previously, these people had wanted to divide Heavens Beyond. After Ning Cheng's might, their attitudes had changed a lot. Even though it was inevitable that Heavens Beyond would be divided, at least it was much better than facing the high and mighty people in the past. Taoist friends, it's not easy to come to Heavens Beyond. Let's go to the City Lord Manor to discuss so that I can play host, Feng Huangmei suggested immediately. Alright, Sky Lord Feng is right. Let's sit down and talk. Zhuo Ming was the first to agree. It looks quite lively. I hope that I, Sang Wanglong, am not late. Another loud voice was heard. Only then did everyone realize that there was another person on the square. Upon hearing this loud voice, everyone naturally thought of a strong and sturdy man. When Sang Wanglong landed on the square, everyone realized that he was an extremely thin man. When they saw the thin man, almost all of them took the initiative to greet him, and each of them reported their origins. The corners of Ning Cheng's eyes twitched slightly. Regardless of whether it was Zhuo Ming, the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas, or Yi Shangli and the rest, none of them could give him any pressure or threat. Sang Wanglong was the only one who gave him an enormous amount of pressure from the moment he spoke. At this moment, Ning Cheng thought of the invisible Tao Lord. Sang Wanglong had an aura fluctuation of the invisible Tao Lord. Although it was very weak, it showed that this person was infinitely close to the integration realm. Since he could see it, the rest of the people could see it too. Therefore, they hurriedly took the initiative to greet him. "I'm the heavens beyond heavens Lord, Feng Huang." "Greetings," Taoist sang. "Are you from the heavenly gate realm?" Taoist sang. Feng Huangmei asked in a probing tone. The experts from the surrounding realms had all come, but no one from the heavenly gate realm had come. No matter how much the people from the heavenly gate realm disdained the other realms or were arrogant, they would not ignore the creation indestructible acts. Sang Wanglong cupped his fists and smiled again. "That's right. I'm from the heavenly gate realm. I heard that you were going to discuss something just now. I hope that I, Sang Wanglong, am not late." No. Please, Taoist friends." Feng Huangmei took the lead and led the group of experts to the City Lord Manor again. As soon as Sang Wanglong appeared, the others naturally followed behind him. No one dared to confirm if Sang Wanglong was from the integration realm, but they could not ask about it. Chapter 13:10. All the experts from outside had come to the Heavenly King abode, but Feng Huangmei was no longer as worried as before. There was no worse outcome, or rather, no better outcome. After all, everyone was willing to sit down and talk slowly. They did not forcefully occupy heavens beyond. Feng Huangmei tried his best to entertain them. The Heavenly King abode's best wine, various divine spirit fruits, and even Tao fruits were taken out. After everyone toasted each other, Feng Huangmei stood up and said, "This time, the heavens beyond of heaven and earth has become famous because of the indestructible acts. However, some of the realms with better locations in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth have owners. If we forcefully take them away, it will go against our Tao heart to pursue the Tao. Of course, this is only my suggestion. I still have to rely on the other Taoists to decide." Seizing territory and going against one's Tao heart? That was just nonsense. The beyond of heaven and earth was originally the intersection of various planes, so anyone could fight for territory there. Feng Huangmei's words were just to make the people from the other planes embarrassed to say that they wanted to seize territory. Sang Wanglong glanced at Feng Huangmei and said calmly, "Heavens beyond is the intersection of various planes. If I'm not wrong, those void teleportation array doors were set up by ancient experts. In other words, as long as it's a plane boundary with heavens beyond, it's qualified to establish a foothold there. It has an owner, not the current one, but the one from ancient times." When Sang Wanglong had first arrived at heavens beyond, his tone had been very polite and humble. Nobody could tell that he was from the heavenly gate realm and that he was also a top-notch expert. At that moment, everyone could see how strong he was. Although he did not directly say that the heavenly gate realm wanted the best place in heavens beyond, his tone had already implied that. I agree with Taoist Sang. Heavens beyond originally belonged to the various planes. However, after the creation war, the planes rested and reorganized themselves. Now that the indestructible acts of creation has appeared, other creation treasures are likely to appear one after another. Who can be sure that the vast universe will not undergo a second grand nirvana? Therefore, it's reasonable to hand over heavens beyond to the various planes before that happens. Yi Shangli from the innocuous realm was the first to stand up and support Sang Wanglong. The grand nirvana of the universe occurred after the creation war. The vast universe was fragmented and its laws were incomplete. This was a saying that came about after countless years of automatic restoration of the rules. Yi Shangli even talked about the grand nirvana of the universe, so the representatives of the other domains all stood up to support him. Ning Cheng said faintly, "The heavens beyond indeed belongs to all the major planes, but it's only so big. Moreover, there are only so many good places. If we were to redivide them, then which domain should occupy more places and which domain should occupy less places?" When Feng Huangmei heard Ning Cheng's words, he couldn't help but praise him in his heart. Just this sentence alone had disintegrated the alliance of the other major domains. This was because Ning Qing was telling the truth. The realm of the heavens beyond of heaven and earth might not necessarily be this big. However, there were only so many good places in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth. There was a need to discuss who would occupy the good places and who would occupy the bad places. Whether it was Zhuaming, Yanlai, or Tianiha, they all had their own ideas. The difference in the location was a small matter. This was related to the face of each domain. If one was given a bad place, it meant that one's strength was weaker than others. Sang Wanglong's gaze swept across Ning Qing. Ning Qing was a mere primordial chaos sacred emperor, yet he dared to speak here. When he saw Ning Qing sitting beside Feng Huangmei, he guessed that Ning Qing should be Feng Huangmei's strategist. I have an idea. Since it's difficult to divide the areas, why don't we divide the heavens beyond of heaven and earth into 10 regions? Then, we'll use the results of the battles to determine the regions. Whoever obtains the highest results in the battles will be given a good place. This method is not only fair, but it also leaves others speechless, Tang Tsongyin suddenly said. Tang Tsongyin knew that the division of the territories should have nothing to do with the Phoenix clan, as the Phoenix clan was not qualified to participate in the division. She said this to help the Sacred Tao sect. The Sacred Tao sect's sect master was definitely top-notch, be it in fights of magical powers or anything else. Ding Jie immediately agreed. Sacred Lord Han Huang's suggestion is not bad. It's truly fair and just. In terms of battles, who could be compared to the Sacred Tao sect's sect master? No matter what they were fighting for, the Sacred Tao sect would definitely take first place. Sang Wanglong said coldly, Heavenly Lord Feng, are the people of the heavens beyond of heaven and earth so unruly? How can puny primordial chaos and Tao integration cultivators butt in? He had tolerated Ning Cheng's words previously. Now that Tang Tsongyin and Ding Jie had also interjected, he was furious. He was not afraid of battles. In fact, he was very satisfied with Tang Tsongyin's suggestion. In terms of battles, how many people could be compared to the Heavenly Gate realm? There were many experts in the Heavenly Gate realm, and there were many geniuses. Any random genius could wipe out the entire heavens beyond in seconds. He was very dissatisfied with experts interrupting when they were talking. Feng Huangmei smiled slightly and did not answer Sang Wanglong's question directly. Instead, he said calmly, Taoist Ning just came to the heavens beyond of heaven and earth. Not long ago, he shattered the physical body of Duan clan's creation realm expert Duan Jingmu and only made Duan Jingmu escape with a broken principal spirit. Taoist Tang also just came to the heavens beyond of heaven and earth. Oh yes, not long ago, Taoist Tang defeated another creation realm expert, Duan Yuwu. Sang Wanglong's eyebrows twitched when he heard Feng Huangmei's words. A primordial chaos realm's sacred emperor could kill a creation realm expert? How was that possible? Before he could speak, Feng Huangmei pointed at Ding Jie and said, Taoist Ding Jie often stays in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth. He's a member of the Sacred Tao sect. The Sacred Tao sect's sect master has not reached the third step either. However, I'm ashamed to say that I might not even be able to last more than 10 breaths in front of Sect Master Yi. Of course, to Taoist Sang, they are insignificant second-step experts, but to me, they are experts among experts. Feng Huangmei's words were laced with sarcasm. He had snatched the territory of the heavens beyond of heaven and earth and did not allow others to speak. This was too domineering. Sang Wanglong's gaze landed on Zhuaming and the others, as he was somewhat doubtful of Feng Huangmei's words. A primordial chaos realm cultivator could kill a creation realm expert. This was not something that could be described as heaven-defying. Although he knew that the creation realm was somewhat fake, he had yet to understand the true reason behind it. Because of this, he had not truly broken through to the integration realm. Yi Shangli nodded and said, Heavenly Lord Feng is right. Taoist Ning did kill the physical body of Duan Jingmu, a creation realm expert from the Seven Aqua realm. I saw Taoist Tang make a move, and his strength is not weaker than mine. However, I've only heard of the Sacred Tao sect's sect master, but I've never seen him before. Sang Wanglong laughed and said to Ning Cheng, Tang Tsongyin, and Ding Jie with cupped fists, "Please forgive me if I offended you with my words just now." A primordial chaos realm cultivator killing a creation realm expert was incredible. He did not know Ning Cheng's origin, but he would not make things difficult for Ning Cheng before that. Ning Cheng secretly thought that Sang Wanglong knew when to yield and when to stand tall. However, he did not respond to him. Since he did not intend to befriend him, there was no need to waste his expression. Ding Jie did not move either. Even though he was only a primordial chaos sacred emperor, he did not give a damn about Sang Wanglong. Tang Tsongyin chuckled and said with cupped fists, "Daoist Sang, you're exaggerating. What do you think of my suggestion?" As long as the sacred Dao sect could snatch a good territory in heavens beyond, it would be easy for them to give a piece of land to the Phoenix clan given their relationship with the sacred Dao sect's sect master. That's right. I agree with Daoist Tang's suggestion. What do you think? Sang Wanglong acted as if he was not the one who had mocked Tang Tsongyin. He simply agreed with Tang Tsongyin's suggestion. I agree too, Yi Shangli said. Zhuo Ming and the rest also expressed their agreement. Upon seeing this, Feng Huangmei said with cupped fists, "Since everyone agrees to divide the territory through a competition, let's decide on a new division of heavens beyond through a competition. However, I do not have any good ideas on how to compete, so I'll have to ask everyone to decide." Sang Wanglong stood up and said, "We cultivate the Tao in pursuit of eternal life and controlling fate. Of course, we can't compete in these things, so we'll just compete in a more tacky way. Most cultivators compete in techniques, alchemy, arrays, talismans, and weapons. Since it's a competition, we can compete in these areas too." That's right. These competition methods can completely reflect the strength and weakness of a realm. Tang Tsongyin acted as if the world was not in chaos. She used the strength and weakness of a realm to describe this competition. In other words, if one lost the competition, it meant that the realm they were in was too weak. I agree. Yi Shangli glanced at Tang Tsongyin and said without hesitation. In terms of competition, the innocuous realm had all kinds of geniuses. Yi Shangli was conceited, so the people from the other realms naturally would not show weakness. Zhuo Ming, Yan Lai, and Tian Iha stood up to express their agreement. Upon seeing this, Feng Huangmei took out a realm simulation Dharma treasure of heavens beyond. In that case, let's first redivide the realms of heavens beyond. 2 hours later, everyone drew 10 regions in the beyond of heaven and earth. There was one special class domain, which was not used as a reward, but as a public activity area of heavens beyond. There were 2 first-class domains, which were the 2 domains with the best locations in heavens beyond. They were even better than the public activity area. There were 3 second-class domains and 4 third-class domains. In other words, only the top 9 would be rewarded after the competition. As long as one did not enter the top 9, one could forget about establishing a foothold in heavens beyond. Of course, one could also buy territories from those who owned realms. As for whether they would sell it or not, that was their business. However, Ning Cheng didn't care about this kind of battle between the boundaries. He was not afraid of anything other than the fact that he was slightly weaker in the talisman Dao. At the same time, Ning Cheng was also very clear about some of the tricks used to divide the domain boundaries. Because from the beginning to the end, no one had said that the domain they were assigned would be protected. In other words, if one obtained a realm through the competition and could not keep it, one could only blame oneself for being useless. Chapter 1311. Even though Shi Lin, the Min family, and the Mao family were the main forces of heavens beyond, they had no right to speak in such a meeting. Heavens beyond had been taken away, and there was nothing for them to do. Shi Lin could only bite the bullet and say with cupped fists, "Seniors, the Infinite Realm Auction naturally agrees to hand over the place and let the major realms jointly control it. However, it's not the first time the Infinite Realm Auction has been in heavens beyond. I wonder if we have the opportunity to participate in the division competition?" Shi Lin knew that even if the Patriarch came, there would be no way to change the situation. Sang Wanglong frowned slightly. In fact, according to his original plan, There was no need for any competition at all. They could directly divide the 10 regions. Then, the Heavenly Gate realm would first pick a place, and the other realms would pick. Now that there were people from other realms coming, he obviously could not do as he had originally planned. Coupled with Ning Cheng's and Tang Tsongyin's strength, he reluctantly agreed to participate in Heavens Beyond. However, only Feng Huangmei, Ning Cheng, and the Sacred Tao sect would be able to participate. It would be a joke if a small auction chamber of commerce was qualified to participate in the competition. Shi Lin's heart skipped a beat when he saw Sang Wanglong frown. He looked at Ning Cheng. Ku Yuxing was not here, so he could only use Ning Cheng to speak. If Ning Cheng did not help him, he could only shut up. Only the major realms are qualified to participate in this competition. Although the Infinite Realm auction has always been in Heavens Beyond, Yi Shangli stood up without hesitation, but her words were interrupted by Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng continued after her. But he is also qualified to participate. Ning Cheng interrupted Yi Shangli, cupped his fists and said, "Fellow Taoists, before we came, the Infinite Realm auction has always been in Heavens Beyond, so it can be considered as a contribution to Heavens Beyond. I suggest that we participate in the competition, and we don't mind 1 or 2 more people. In addition to people from the major realms who can send people to participate in this competition, everyone here today is qualified to participate. As for those who didn't come, even if they were from Heavens Beyond, they are not qualified to participate." Yi Shangli choked back his words, feeling extremely unhappy in his heart. She knew that Ning Cheng's strength was much stronger than her, as such she could only suppress this unhappiness in her heart. Shi Lin glanced at Ning Cheng gratefully and decided to befriend Ning Cheng in his heart. Because La Su'a of the remote cliff weapon pavilion didn't want to come out with everyone to deal with the 7 Ways Duan clan, Ning Cheng kicked the remote cliff weapon pavilion out of the picture with just a few words. Although Sang Wanglong hadn't expressed his position yet, with Sang Wanglong's attitude towards Ning Cheng's proposal shouldn't be a problem. After all, Ning Cheng had only mentioned that they were qualified to participate in the competition. It was not like he was directly asking for the territory. This time, Tang Tsongyin took the initiative to stand up and help Ning Cheng. "I think that what Dao friend Ning said is right. Since we came to this meeting, then we have the qualifications to participate in the fights." Tang Tsongyin and Ning Cheng were both powerhouses with the potential to fight against those at a higher level. As such, Sang Wanglong did not intend to fall out with the 2 of them at this time. What's more, a few more people participating wouldn't affect him at all. Originally, he didn't intend to let Shi Lin and the others have the qualifications to participate. Now that Ning Cheng had raised the suggestion, he simply gave Ning Cheng some face. Since Taoist Ning and Taoist Tang have agreed to this proposal, then I can't refute both of you. Heavenly Lord Feng, how about we set the participants as the representatives of the major planes and realms and the various parties? Feng Huangmei naturally wouldn't refuse and quickly said, "Since everyone discussed it, I naturally agree. When and where will the competition be held? Does anyone have any specific ideas?" Tang Tsongyin, who was standing at the side, rejoiced in her heart. She hadn't expected that she would actually be qualified to participate in the competition. Regardless of whether she could obtain a ranking or not, this qualification would make the reputation of the Phoenix clan even more prominent in the Heavens Beyond in the future. Since we're dividing the realms of the Heavens Beyond, then this competition will be held in the Heavens Beyond. Since it will take some time to get here, our competition will be held in a year's time. Let's first release the news of the competition and let the representatives of the major planes come to the Heavens Beyond. We'll discuss the details of the competition when all the representatives from the major planes and realms arrive, said Sang Wanglong. Even though the people from the 7 Aqua realm had not come, he knew that the 7 Aqua realm could not be excluded. Of course, apart from the 7 Aqua realm, there were other small realms and planes around. If they wanted to participate, they could not refuse. At the same time, in the Heavens Beyond, this was Tsuyuan Zhengzhou's territory. Even though Tsuyuan Zhengzhou was not there, the Heavens Beyond was still the number 1 in the Heavens Beyond. At the moment, in the VIP cave abode of the inn, Li Jianqing's face was gloomy. He had just arrived. If Quan Shi hadn't known that Timothy and Nuala had come with Ning Cheng, he wouldn't have even been qualified to enter. D. Hutting, did Ning Cheng really kill Duan Jingmu, a Creation Realm expert from the Seven Aqua Duan clan? Are those Creation Realm experts really in the Godlord Manor for a meeting now? Li Jianqing repeated what he had asked before. Timothy said with a solemn expression, I saw it with my own eyes from afar. Previously, I only heard that the Seven Aqua Duan clan had a third-step Creation Realm expert, so I had some doubts. This time, I saw with my own eyes 2 Creation Realm experts from the Seven Aqua Duan clan come to the heavens beyond. They were at the true Creation Realm. The Creation Realm expert, Duan Jingmu, fought with Ning Cheng, but Ning Cheng destroyed his physical body. At that point, Timothy took another deep breath. Even though this had happened many days ago, he still felt shocked when he recalled it. Third-step experts were legendary existences in the Great Change Realm, let alone the Great Beginning Realm. Hearing about it and seeing it with one's own eyes were 2 completely different things. The Great Change Realm's Realm Lord Yin Xingwen had worked hard for the Creation Realm all his life, but he was only hovering at the edge of the Creation Realm. As for Timothy, the gap between them was too great. Li Jianqing clenched his fists. He knew that Ning Cheng was slightly more powerful than him now. He did not care, as he had thought that it would be easy for him to reach Dao integration. Now, he knew that Ning Cheng was not just slightly more powerful than him, but countless times more powerful. Duan Jingmu is a true Creation Realm expert. I can feel how powerful he is. After he used his divine power, my spiritual consciousness could not pry into any laws at all. Although Ning Cheng did not completely kill Duan Jingmu, he smashed his physical body with one finger, leaving only a broken principal spirit. I'm sure that if I had faced Ning Cheng's finger, my soul would have been destroyed. Timothy had lingering fears and kept repeating the words, true Creation Realm. At the same time, he felt fortunate that he had been polite to Ning Cheng. Can't we set up a teleportation array in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth? Li Jianqing asked in disappointment. Timothy shook his head. Manager Shi Lin of the Myriad Realm auction got along well with me. I thought that as long as we took out a certain amount of resources, we should be able to set up a teleportation platform here. I'm afraid it's really impossible now. I heard that because of the Creation Indestructible Acts, Creation Realm experts from various planes have set foot in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth. I'm afraid we can't even protect the Myriad Realm auction, let alone us. Li Jianqing was silent for a long time before he sighed. Alas, we're a step too late. Nu Allah will stay here and build a good relationship with Ning Cheng. Guardian T and I will think of a way to go to the sacred Tao world. The experts from those planes have just arrived, so I think the sacred Tao world should not have been discovered by them yet. At the mention of the sacred Tao world, his emotions surged again. The Great Beginning Realm wanted to set up a teleportation array in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth to take the sacred Tao world. Putting aside the fact that the sacred Tao world had been split from the Great Beginning Realm, the Great Beginning Divine Inscription alone was enough for him. Besides, these were not the most important things. The most important thing was that the sacred Tao world had been restored by the chaotic tree. If Li Jianqing could obtain the sacred Tao world and achieve Tao integration with it, how high would his achievements be in the future? Even he felt excited at the thought of it. Timothy was silent for a while before he said hesitantly, I'm afraid we can't get involved in the sacred Tao world. Li Jianqing was disappointed that he could not set up a teleportation array in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth, but Timothy's words simply made him despair. Timothy did not say it directly. Instead, he glanced at Nula, who was beside him. He felt that Nula should be more tactful about this. Nula stood up and bowed before Li Jianqing. Then she said, Tao Lord, because of Manager Shi Lin of the Infinite Realm Auction, we have become more familiar with the people of the Infinite Realm Auction recently and learned some insider information. The most powerful person in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth is not the Infinite Realm Auction, nor is it the Creation Realm Heavenly Lord Feng Huangmei that we learned about later. Instead, it is the Sacred Tao Sect Master. In fact, Noela's words were a compliment to the Great Beginning Realm. She and Timothy had been able to find out about this. It was not because they had a good relationship with Shi Lin, but because they had come to the heavens beyond of heaven and earth with Ning Cheng. They had said this because of Ning Cheng. Sacred Tao Sect? Upon hearing the Sacred Tao Sect's name, Li Jianqing could not help but think of the Sacred Tao world. He had a bad feeling. Nuala nodded. Yes, the Sacred Tao Sect. This sect was established by the expert who restored the Sacred Tao world. This expert is also the Sacred Tao Sect's sect master. Many experts in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth know about this, not just the great beginning realm. The Sacred Tao Sect's sect master came to the heavens beyond of heaven and earth, and I heard that he annihilated a force that was not inferior to the infinite realm auction. Li Jianqing's heart sank to the bottom. He gradually came back to his senses. Yes, the Sacred Tao world had been restored by the chaotic tree, and the great beginning divine rune was in the Sacred Tao world. He had heard this news in the great beginning realm of the 5 great realms, so how could the experts in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth not know about it? Since so many experts knew about this, how could the Sacred Tao sect be simple if no one dared to make a move until now? However, he had been blinded by the chaotic tree and the great beginning divine rune. He had always thought that the Sacred Tao world was a part of the great beginning realm, so he had not been willing to think about these things. The truth was always cruel. The house fell silent. After an unknown period of time, Li Jianqing looked up and said firmly, I have to go to the Sacred Tao world. Even if the person who restored the Sacred Tao world is really that powerful, I have to go. As a Tao lord of the great beginning realm, he had no reason not to go to another land in the great beginning realm to take a look. Chapter 13:12. Although he had no choice but to accept the new division of heavens beyond, Feng Huangmei was not too disappointed. Although he was the heaven lord of heavens beyond, he did not occupy much land. The real winners were the myriad realm auction, the Mao family, and the Min family. Even the Sacred Tao sect occupied more land than him. Sang Wanglong stood up with a smile. Today's discussion will end here. We'll discuss again when everyone from the Plain Realms is here. Feng Huangmei stood up as well. Just as he was about to say something, he heard a rumble outside heavens beyond. Then, the space they were in also shook violently. Feng Huangmei's expression changed slightly as he subconsciously looked at Ning Cheng. He guessed that the Duan clan of 7 SOS had come and should be attacking the defense array of heavens beyond square. Ding Jie's expression also turned solemn. The sect master was not here, and the Duan clan of 7 SOS had come. Once Ning Cheng and Tang Tsongyin could not stop them, the Sacred Tao sect in heavens beyond would probably not be spared. Ning Cheng also felt a little nervous. The Duan clan of 7 SOS knew how powerful he was. If they came this time, there might be integration realm experts. Besides Feng Huangmei, Tang Tsongyin would probably have to take action. As for Sang Wanglong and the others, they could not be counted on. He had originally wanted to continue discussing with Feng Huangmei about how to deal with integration realm experts through the confinement killing array. He had not expected that the Duan clan of 7 SOS would come before he could even start. How could the Duan clan of 7 SOS come so quickly? Yi Shangli, who was gloating the most, said solemnly, I'm afraid it's the Duan clan of 7 SOS. They're really fast. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness permeated and soon found out that it was not the Duan clan of 7 SOS. Instead, someone was fighting in heavens beyond. Before Ning Cheng could say anything, there was another cracking sound. An even more terrifying explosion exploded in the sky above the beyond of heaven and earth, and a vague void crack appeared. At that moment, everyone knew that it was not the Duan clan of 7 SOS. Feng Huangmei's face turned pale. He was calm even in the face of Sang Wanglong's aggressiveness. However, he was horrified at the moment. He knew very well how terrifying the boundary protection array of the beyond of heaven and earth was. It had been set up by ancient experts. Even if an integration realm expert came, he might not be able to break it. Now that the two of them were engaged in a battle, a crack had appeared in the barrier protecting array. Waves of terrifying Tao runes, killing intent, and explosive divine power aura seeped out from the crack, causing everyone present to tremble as they looked at the crack. Yi Shangli, who had been gloating earlier, also tightly pursed his lips, preparing to escape at any moment. With such a terrifying Dao rune, even if she, a creation realm expert, went over, she probably wouldn't even be able to withstand one of his divine powers. Pieces of cyan lotus-shaped Taoist light rippled in the void, tearing the originally stable void into pieces. Dao Runto to do the creation, the Dao runes to Tulu. The saber radiance seemed like it was going to cut through the void. Even Sang Wanglong felt his heart tremble when he sensed the saber intent that could cut through the soul. He have to Dao runes to Dragon Realm expert. He to the King Spirit. He to Sect of Sect and Li to be, Yang Sect King. He had always thought that he had the highest cultivation level, but now, a crack had appeared in his heart. The purple saber flare, which was so terrifying that it could cut through the void and shatter the laws easily, seemed to have hit the green lotus radiance as it did not have any effect on it. However, the green lotus radiance had only shrunk, yet it had blasted the figure who had taken out the saber flare away. This was not a battle on the same level. No one spoke at that moment, as everyone's heart turned cold. They had always thought that they were experts, but they were just ants in front of these two experts. No, they were just ants in front of the expert who had taken out the green lotus radiance. That's the green lotus of creation. Sang Wanglong finally sensed it and said in a trembling voice. The creation treasure had finally appeared, and it was in the hands of such an expert. At the same time, Ning Cheng also sensed that it was indeed the green lotus of creation. He also sensed a familiar aura, which belonged to the person who had been chasing him in Jiangsha City. This person had the green lotus of creation, so it seemed that she was indeed the woman N.E. had mentioned. He did not know who had provoked this woman, but Ning Cheng was sure that the other party had most likely sensed his existence when the void in heavens beyond had split. Ning Cheng did not know who had provoked this woman, but he was sure that the other party had most likely sensed his existence when the void of heavens beyond had split just now. Ning Cheng did not know who had provoked this woman, but he was sure that the other party had most likely sensed his existence when the void in heavens beyond had split. A shadow that seemed to be caught but was completely clueless flowed through his spiritual force. Sect Master? Ding Jie, who was at the side, exclaimed, interrupting Ning Cheng's comprehension. As Ding Jie shouted, the rift in the void outside the beyond of heaven and earth disappeared. The two people who were fighting also disappeared without a trace. Everyone was relieved when they saw that the people who had been fighting had not entered heavens beyond. That's your sacred Dao sect master? Sang Wanglong, who had reacted, asked in shock. Even if the person who had unleashed the purple saber flare was the sacred Dao sect master, Sang Wanglong could not afford to offend him. Feng Huangmei did not seem to be lying. Sang Wanglong would not be able to hold on for long in front of the person who had unleashed the purple saber flare. The terrifying Dao rune law suppression just now had not been directed at him, but it had also made it hard for him to breathe. If the person who had unleashed the green lotus Dao light had been the sacred Dao sect master, the entire heavenly gate realm would not have been able to offend him. Even if all the realms joined forces, they would not be a match for him, let alone the heavenly gate realm. Ding Jie looked worried as he nodded. That's right. That's indeed the sacred Dao sect master. No, I have to go. Before Ding Jie could finish his sentence, he stopped himself. He wanted to help? What help? Given his strength, he would only be courting death if he went. No, he might not even be able to find a way to die. Ning Cheng slowly exhaled, patted Ding Jie, and said, "Don't worry. Your sect master is fine." Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had seen clearly that the sacred Dao sect master had rich combat experience and had deliberately escaped after that saber strike. Moreover, he had escaped with the help of the Dao runes of the Green Lotus of Good Fortune's owner. From the looks of it, they had been chasing him for more than a day or two. What made Ning Cheng worried was himself. He was not sure if that woman had seen him or not. If that woman had seen him and did not come looking for him for the time being, that could only mean that the woman wanted to deal with him after dealing with the sacred Dao sect master. In any case, he had to leave this place now. At this thought, Ning Cheng raised his hand and took out a jade bottle. He handed the jade bottle to Sang Wanglong and said, Taoist Sang, there are 5 drops of quintessential essence of the universe in here. I plan to give 1 drop to each of you. Quintessential essence of the universe? Sang Wanglong sobered up from the shock and asked in surprise. How precious was the quintessential essence of the universe? 1 drop could save a life. How could Ning Qing take out 5 drops at a time? Moreover, he had inexplicably given them 5 drops of quintessential essence of the universe. What did this mean? Although Sang Wanglong did not know what it meant, he still took the jade bottle and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. Then he looked pleasantly surprised. It's really the quintessential essence of the universe. Before the quintessential essence of the universe reached Sua Ming and the others, their gazes had already landed on Sang Wanglong's hand. I have to leave Heavens Beyond temporarily for some matters. Before I return to Heavens Beyond, I only have one thing to ask of you. Before Heavens Beyond is divided into realms, people from any realm can only stay in Heavens Beyond and cannot go to other planes through Heavens Beyond. What do you think? Ning Qing cupped his fists at everyone and waited for their answers. Among the people standing here, which one of them wasn't an expert among experts who had experienced the baptism of countless life and death situations? As soon as Ning Qing spoke those words, everyone immediately understood what was going on. Although Ning Qing did not explicitly say that he wanted everyone to help block the people from the Duan clan of 7 SOS and prevent them from leaving Heavens Beyond to go to his place, this was what he meant. Ning Qing's request was reasonable. In fact, before Heavens Beyond had been divided into realms, there was nothing wrong with everyone agreeing not to go to other realms through Heavens Beyond. Taoist Ning, I agree to your request. Without hesitation, Sang Wanglong took out a jade bottle and took a drop of quintessential essence of the universe. Even if Ning Qing had not said it, he had planned to list this out. Now that Ning Qing had said it, he had obtained the quintessential essence of the universe and was a good person. Why not? Since Sang Wanglong had taken the lead, Sua Ming, Yen Lai, Tian Iha, and Yi Shangli did not hesitate to take a drop of quintessential essence of the universe and agree to Ning Qing's request. This was not asking them to become enemies with the Duan clan of 7 SOS. It was just to set a reasonable rule that everyone would abide by. When Ning Qing saw everyone put away the quintessential essence of the universe, he heaved a sigh of relief and said with a smile, the sacred Tao sect master is being chased by experts. He might not be able to come back for the competition within a year. Sang Wanglong said seriously, after all, the sacred Tao sect master has always been in Heavens Beyond and has contributed a lot to it. If he can't come back within a year, we can wait a little longer. The reason he said this was because he had seen the sacred Tao sect master's strength. The sacred Tao sect master could even fight experts with creation treasures. His future potential would be astonishing, and he was not someone he could afford to offend. Of course, if the sacred Tao sect master was killed this time, it would not be a loss for him to wait a little longer. If the sect master survived, not only would he have done a favor, but he would also have made friends with an expert. For a creation realm expert, a year and a half was almost the same as a breath. I'm very grateful for Taoist Sang's words. I'll take my leave first. I'll treat everyone when I come back. Ning Qing thanked him with cupped fists. After thanking these people, he sent a voice transmission to Feng Huangmin. Heavenly Lord Feng, I'll return with your gratitude. The Duan clan of 7 SOS, please deal with them and stop them in Heavens Beyond. Chapter 1313. Ning Qing hurriedly left Heavens Beyond after giving his instructions in a hurry. He even asked Shi Lin to send a voice transmission to the old fart, Lu Dongzi, and the others. Ning Qing heaved a sigh of relief the moment he came out of the teleportation array door of Heavens Beyond. He had a hunch that if he continued to stay in Heavens Beyond, he might be blocked by that woman and not be able to get out. He did not have the ability to tear the plane barrier like that woman did. That woman could even tear the plane void of Heavens Beyond at will, but he could only tear some plane voids now. Once Ning Qing left Heavens Beyond, he was ready to take out the starry sky wheel and leave first. Facing that woman, he estimated that it would be difficult for him to even escape. Besides, he was even more certain that the woman's target was someone with a creation treasure. He had the creation mysterious yellow bead. The sacred Dao sect master could easily kill Lu Qianhe when he was at the mid-stage primordial chaos realm, so he reckoned that he also had a creation treasure. Because of this, that woman wanted to kill the two of them. As soon as Ning Cheng thought of this, an extreme sense of danger appeared in his heart. Without thinking, he burned his divine essence frantically and tore the void in front of him. No matter where he went, he could not care less. He had to leave first. As soon as Ning Cheng stepped into the torn void, a terrifying aura suppressed him and grabbed the clothes on his back along with a piece of skin. His sacred physique didn't have the slightest ability to resist this terrifying grab. Ning Cheng did not dare to look back. He burned his divine essence frantically again and tore the void to escape. He secretly rejoiced that he had made a quick decision. Otherwise, that woman would have definitely blocked him in heavens beyond. Ning Cheng did not even dare to look back as he fled frantically. However, the sense of danger lingered behind him, making it impossible for him to stop. Ning Cheng did not know how many void planes he had torn and how many paths he had taken, but he still could not get rid of the pursuit that was like maggots in his bones. Something suddenly occurred to Ning Cheng. He did not continue to flee. If he did, he reckoned that he would not be able to get rid of the pursuit for the rest of his life. The reason he dared to stop was that he had suddenly thought of something. If that woman had really been chasing him, he would have been killed long ago. Since he could tear through space and escape to this place without using the starry sky wheel, it meant that the one chasing him was most likely just a spiritual sense avatar of that woman. As soon as Ning Cheng stopped, a vague figure pounced on him. The violent Dao charm aura transformed into a huge handprint. This handprint felt as if it wanted to grab Ning Cheng and take him away. Facing such a powerful oppression, Ning Cheng felt a lot calmer in his heart. His guess was not wrong. This was indeed a spiritual sense avatar. A spiritual force doppelganger that was not even a real doppelganger wanted to capture him. This woman was too full of herself. The creation divine spear swept up endless spear patterns, and the moment it attacked, it froze the space. The void instantly froze, and even the laws of heaven and earth froze in this cold. The space created by the vague spiritual sense avatar and Ning Cheng's icebound space collided, and the resulting shockwaves of Dao charm rippled out. Catcha, a sound emerged. Ning Cheng's icebound space had not yet bound this vague spiritual sense avatar when it instantly shattered. At the same time, the huge handprint that wanted to take Ning Cheng away also exploded under the frozen domain. The creation divine spear ignored space-time and slammed into the vague Dao rune avatar. Chi, a slight tearing sound of Dao runes could be heard. Ning Cheng's creation divine spear had already torn the Dao rune avatar to pieces. Although this Dao rune avatar chased after Ning Cheng at a terrifying speed, it was only equivalent to an ordinary Dao integration cultivator. "You're courting death." A shout came from the void. Ning Cheng did not care about that woman's shout. He brought out the starry sky wheel and turned into a shadow before disappearing into the void. If he did not escape now, when would he? After half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng recognized his location. He was close to the immortal falling boat void city and not far from the Jiaoliang mountain. Ning Cheng did not expect to arrive at the immortal falling boat void city in the fastest way after tearing the void several times. If he had followed the normal route, it would have taken him nearly half a year to reach this place. Unfortunately, this method could only rely on luck. The next time he used this method, he might end up in some unknown domain. Unless there came a day when his consciousness could traverse countless domains and planes, he would not be able to do so. Ning Cheng's heart tightened at the thought of his spiritual consciousness traversing countless domain planes. His current spiritual consciousness could also traverse the void plane, but the range was limited. However, that woman would not be the same as him. That woman definitely knew where he was. After figuring this out, Ning Cheng did not dare to stay any longer and sped up the starry sky wheel. If he guessed correctly, there was only one way to go, and that was to go to the Jiaoliang mountain. Only the Jiaoliang Mountain's heaven and earth deity's tomb would have a chance to escape that terrifying woman. Ning Cheng focused almost all his energy on controlling the speed of the starry sky wheel. His cultivation was several times stronger than the last time he crossed the Jiaoliang Mountain. The starry sky wheel's speed was also several times faster than the last time. Plus, Ning Cheng had come here once before, so he was more familiar with it. In just 2 months, Ning Cheng approached the top of the Jiaoliang Mountain. Seeing that he was about to reach the top of the Jiaoliang Mountain, Ning Cheng felt slightly relieved. This time, he had to reach Dao unification before he could leave. Moreover, the first thing he had to do after leaving the Jiaoliang Mountain was to find the starry sky wheel's artifact spirit. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to escape from that woman. Boom! Just as Ning Cheng was about to reach the top of the Jiaoliang Mountain, a terrifying Dao charm aura tore through space and rushed towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was scared out of his wits. He was too familiar with this terrifying aura. It was that woman. He didn't expect that woman to wait for him here in advance. If he knew that woman was waiting for him here, he would not have come to this place even if he was an idiot. What did it mean to deliver oneself to the door? However, if he didn't come to this place, where could he go? Ning Cheng felt anxious. For the first time, he didn't know how to deal with the situation in front of him. Moving forward meant death, retreating meant death. Enter the mysterious yellow bead? If he faced an ordinary opponent, entering the mysterious yellow bead might leave the other party helpless. But facing this woman, Ning Cheng knew that even if he entered the mysterious yellow bead, it would be useless. Kaka! Boom boom! The Dao charm collision blasted over again, mixed with a purple saber light. Ning Cheng instantly understood that the sacred Dao sect master was still fighting with that woman. The sacred Dao sect master truly was strong. Although that woman didn't lose him, she still couldn't do anything to him. Moreover, the two were still fighting here. But the next moment, Ning Cheng realized that the two weren't fighting, but a one-sided battle. The sacred Dao sect master once again blasted away by countless cyan lotus-shaped Dao charm lights. It seemed that he couldn't fight against this woman head-on. Ning Cheng didn't even think about it. He immediately brought out the Good Fortune Divine Spear. After using the law-breaking spirit technique, an ice-sealed space appeared. The enemy of an enemy was a friend. What's more, Ning Cheng had no other choice now. He could only join forces with the sacred Dao sect master to have a chance of survival. Even if Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit technique couldn't stop the woman's cyan lotus Dao light, it still caused the light to pause for a moment. A moment later, the ice-sealed space, which had yet to take shape, sealed the space in front of the cyan lotus Dao light. However, this seal only lasted for less than half a breath before it shattered with a kacha. That was enough. The sacred Dao sect master, who had been blasted away by the cyan lotus Dao light, didn't take the opportunity to escape. Instead, he turned around and slashed down with a saber light. At the same time that the saber light slashed out, Ning Cheng felt the entire space tremble. An extremely distorted saber pattern that transcended heaven and earth raged in the void. Endless spatial killing power gathered together. The killing power's laws were also very strange and untouchable. This saber pattern gave Ning Cheng a feeling that no matter where he hid, he would still be killed by this distorted saber pattern. What a powerful saber pattern, Ning Cheng thought to himself in shock. It was invisible and traceless, yet it was everywhere. Despite the shock, Ning Cheng didn't hesitate and brought out a finger at the same time. At this time, if he didn't go all out, he might not have the chance to do so in the future. In Ning City, those terrifying blade patterns that seemed to have nowhere to hide were like ordinary pine needles in front of this woman. The cyan lotus flower under her feet spun in a circle and transformed into thousands of cyan lotus lights of Dao charm. These thousands of lotus lights of Dao charm collided with the distorted saber pattern and directly devoured the saber pattern's killing power. Before the sacred Dao sect master could be blasted away again, Ning Cheng's law-breaking finger had already arrived. The originally fragmented heaven and earth laws trembled at this moment. The law-breaking finger broke through the void and destroyed everything. Under the law-breaking finger, there were no more laws. Boom! The finger of order breaking, which could kill a creation realm powerhouse with a single finger, struck the green lotus light that was devouring and distorting the blade runes. It was like a pebble had fallen into a calm lake, only causing a few ripples. The surrounding heaven and earth laws were still under the control of the other party. The powerful and terrifying Dao charm backlash swept over, making Ning Cheng's heart as clear as a mirror. Even if he joined forces with the sacred Dao sect's sect master, they were far from being the other party's opponent. Hurry up and escape. The sacred Dao sect's sect master's voice rang out. In the gap between Ning Cheng's law-breaking finger and the cyan lotus light, he fled towards the top of Jiaoyang Mountain. Even without the reminder, Ning Cheng knew that he had to escape. After swallowing a drop of quintessential essence of the universe, he flapped his twin wings of the heavenly clouds and rushed towards the top of Jiaoyang Mountain almost at the same time. In an instant, that woman will chase after us. Later, I will use my strongest spiritual power. You just use that finger. As long as we can escape to the other side of Jiaoyang Mountain, we will have a chance to survive. Just as Ning Cheng landed on the top of Jiaoyang Mountain, the sacred Dao sect's sect master's voice rang out. Chapter 13-14. Ning Cheng responded. Then, the two were shocked to find that the woman seemed to still be fighting and hadn't caught up with them immediately. The two looked at each other and didn't even say a word before rushing to the other side of the Jiaoyang Mountain without hesitation. No matter what the reason was, it was a heaven-sent opportunity for the two of them. It was Xing Shi, who possessed the green lotus of good fortune, who was chasing after Ning Cheng and the sacred Dao sect master. She didn't expect that someone would really attack her at the top of the Jiaoyang Mountain, let alone a sneak attack from a top expert. Although she was eager to kill the two people who had just escaped, she had to deal with the sneak attack in front of her. "Are you the sacred Dao sect master?" Ning Cheng asked with cupped fists after the two quickly escaped from the top of the Jiaoyang Mountain. The man in front of him had a sheathless purple saber on his back, and his eyes were clear. Even while fleeing, he exuded a strong sense of self-confidence. The feeling of integration with the great Tao made Ning Cheng feel that the other party had a good fortune treasure. Sure enough, he was worthy of having a good fortune treasure. However, he didn't know what kind of good fortune treasure the mysterious yellow sect master had. The young man with the purple saber smiled slightly and glanced at Ning Cheng. His gaze also fell on the good fortune divine spear on Ning Cheng's back. "Yes, I'm the sacred Dao sect master, Yemo. Your current strength is about the same as mine when I was at the late-stage primordial chaos realm. Also, the Dao runes you displayed when you executed the divine power previously. If I'm not wrong, you should also have a creation treasure, right? I haven't asked for your name yet. My name is Ning Cheng, and I come from the Great Simplicity realm. Yes, I have the good fortune mysterious yellow bead." Ning Cheng didn't hide it. He could see that Yi Mo had a good fortune treasure, so it was normal for the other party to see it. "No wonder that woman wants to kill you. I vaguely feel that your great Tao and my great Tao both originate from the primordial chaos. Presumably, our cultivation methods are similar. It's a pity that you haven't reached Tao integration. If you had, we could have joined forces and fused our Tao runes. Even if we couldn't beat that woman, we wouldn't be much weaker than her." Yi Mo sighed with some pity. He didn't expect Ning Cheng to have the mysterious yellow bead, which he wasn't unfamiliar with. If the mysterious yellow bead hadn't been unwilling to recognize him as its owner, it would have already belonged to him. This was the treasure he used to escape after killing Dongfang Wang. But he did not know from where did this Ning Cheng obtain the mysterious yellow bead, as such it was not good for him to ask. Ning Cheng did not care about it, he also knew that his strength was just too weak. He wasn't afraid of ordinary people, but that woman was too terrifying. He had come to Jiaoyang Mountain in search of a fortuitous opportunity for Tao integration. What he cared about was what kind of treasure the sacred Tao sect master had. "Brother Yi, I wonder what kind of creation treasure you have?" Although the two of them were talking, they did not slow down at all. Ning Cheng brought out the starry sky wheel, while Yi Mo also brought out his flight-type weapon. "Mine is the golden page world. You have cultivated to the late-stage primordial chaos realm, so you must know that only people with creation treasures can open the creation gate, right? That woman was called Xing Shi, and she possessed the green lotus of creation. Because of this, she wants to kill you and me. There were countless experts on Mount Jiaoyang. At this moment, that woman was blocked at the peak of Mount Jiaoyang. However, based on the amount of time I've spent fighting her, I'm guessing that she'll be able to catch up soon. With our current power, we're probably no match for that woman, Yemo said heavily. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and asked, "That finger of yours is very strong. What's it called?" "That's Order Destruction Finger. I learned it at the Heaven and Earth God Tomb Mound. After we cross Jiaoyang Mountain, we'll be at Jiaoyang Sea. The Heaven and Earth God Tomb Mound is adjacent to Jiaoyang Sea. When I came here last time, I learned Order Destruction Finger by chance. In fact, I feel that strike of yours is very strong. It had a twisting sword rune that could tear apart the world. If it wasn't for the huge difference in power between us, that woman would definitely be dead," Ning Cheng replied. He truly admired Yi Mo's strike. That strike was Falling Mark Sword Rune. I learned it from the great primordial god rune. I didn't expect you to come here again. I just heard that there are too many treasures and opportunities here. We can spar when we have time. When that woman comes, I will use some Samsara god art to disturb her mind. At the same time, you can use Order Destruction Finger. If we can stop that woman for a while, we might be able to escape." Yi Mo nodded. "Samsara?" Ning Cheng asked in shock. "Is it Samsara of the 8 great god arts?" Yi Mo didn't mind and nodded. "I know what you mean by 8 great god arts. In fact, it's 10 great god arts. Among them, the Reincarnation Divine Art is ranked 4th. I know the 7th bridge is Samsara Bridge. May I ask Brother Yi, what's the difference between Samsara God Art and 7 Bridges God Art?" Ning Cheng immediately asked. His 7 Bridges God Art only lacked Samsara Bridge. Yi Mo knew Samsara God Art. Did this mean that Samsara God Art was what he lacked in his 7 Bridges God Art? Yi Mo looked at Ning Cheng in shock and said, "This is a long story. I only realized the difference later on." In the vast universe, there were countless planes, and under each plane were countless realms. Samsara exists in every realm. The one that controls this is the abyssal realm. In the ancient times, the laws of the world were complete. Each plane had an abyssal realm. As long as the soul wasn't destroyed, one could reincarnate. The abyssal realm has a complete Samsara Dao. This complete Samsara Dao is the 7 bridges. They are Nai Bridge, Wang Xiang Bridge, Wang Chuan Bridge, Huang Quan Bridge, Rebirth Bridge, Pramitha Bridge and Samsara Bridge. Then the ancient masters went through countless battles. The void shattered and the laws of the universe became chaotic. Countless realms were turned into nothingness. The dark nether realms of the various planes are even more fragmented, and the laws of reincarnation are similarly broken. Yemo suddenly stopped. "That woman is about to come. Let's join up again." As he spoke, he had already raised his hand and unleashed a majestic Dao rune of the sacred art. Even though this god art wasn't targeted at Ning Cheng felt the entire world's time was rewinding. Endless time seemed to flow backwards in front of Ning Cheng's eyes, causing Ning Cheng's heart to tremble. This was the Samsara spirit technique. This god art wasn't targeted at him. If it was, he would have already fallen into it. Almost at the same time, the heaven-covering blue lotus ray swept down. Before the blue lotus ray completely landed, Ning Cheng felt Yi Mo's Samsara god art weaken. Just as Ning Cheng was about to bring out his law-breaking finger, he changed his mind and brought out the first 6 bridges of the 7 bridges spirit technique: Nai Bridge, Wang Xiang Bridge, Wang Chuan Bridge, Huang Quan Bridge, Reincarnation Bridge, Pramitha Bridge. What Ning Cheng and Yi Mo didn't expect was that as soon as these 6 bridges were released, they formed surging Dao waves. The earth-shattering aura of the great path of heaven and earth rolled down like the primordial chaos had exploded. The vast heaven and earth Dao was born in the 7 bridges. At this moment, the universe was forming. No, at this moment, the universe was gathering. The world came from the primordial chaos. All laws were slowly born, and the laws that were born were slowly gathering. Seeking eternal life with this body, there are 7 bridges in the underworld. Nai He, Wang Xiang, Wang Chuan and Huang Quan, there is no good or evil in the Huang Quan, turning to dust on the reincarnation bridge. Just when the grand 6 bridge Dao waves were about to be severed on the Paramitha bridge, another Samsara Dao wave was born from the middle. The Samsara Dao wave instantly went into Yi Mo's Samsara God art and formed a Samsara bridge that continued with the previous 6 bridges. The Dao waves not only continued but also became more and more powerful. The Samsara God art spun again and time flowed like crazy again. Wanting to return to the other side and enter Samsara, once you enter this bridge, you will never return. Never return, never return. All life in the world fell under the control of the 7 bridges. They returned to the primal chaos, and they perished once more in the primal chaos. Seeing this, Ning Cheng was dazed. He didn't expect the 7 bridge God art fused together was this terrifying. He didn't even control the 7th bridge. He used Yi Mo's Samsara God art. If he could control the 7th bridge, how terrifying would the 7 bridges be when they fused? The terrifying woman from before was actually temporarily trapped by the 7 bridges' mystic art. Bleak wind rose, blood sea was born. Mist shrouded, the yellow river roared, the millstone rolled, Paramitha disappeared, Samsara loomed. Even with such terrifying 7 bridges God art, that woman's blue lotus light could still come and go. Ning Chung quickly reacted. He had to stimulate his 7 bridges spirit technique as soon as possible. Otherwise, that woman might tear the 7 bridges apart and charge out. Ning Chung completely used the 7 bridges God art and smashed out with his finger, Law Destruction Finger. That woman was temporarily trapped by the 7 bridges. He didn't believe the Law Destruction Finger couldn't hurt her. The Law Destruction Finger broke through the void and annihilated all obstacles in the world. Rumble. This finger finally tore open the blue lotus light and smashed in. At the same time, an even more twisted purple sword ray hacked down. Both Ning Cheng and Yi Mo didn't have the intention to hold back at all. There was a heavy grunt and the blue lotus light swept back and the 7 bridges shattered. The heaven and earth Dao rhyme disappeared. The green lotus light swept up the woman's figure and instantly disappeared. Quickly go, this woman cherishes her body very much. She accidentally fell into the trap this time and won't be able to catch up for now. When she reacts, she would definitely chase over again. Yi Mo wiped the blood from his mouth and said quickly. Even without Yi Mo's reminder, Ning Cheng knew that they had to leave quickly. That woman cherished her body indeed and didn't keep chasing the two. The two charged into the Jialiang Sea and then into the heaven and earth god tomb. Chapter 13-15. I didn't expect you to have the first 6 of the 7 bridges. When all 7 bridge God art fused together, that's the true great samsara. Yi Mo praised, I didn't finish before. Do you know why samsara is different from my samsara God art? It's not the origin of the God art but the formation of the God art's laws. After the ancient times, the abyssal realm laws of many planes were broken and the samsara passage was incomplete. In order to make up for samsara laws, many powerful beings used the samsara chi to build incomplete samsara laws. Most of the abyssal realm only have the 7th samsara bridge left. My plane is one of them. Although the 7th samsara bridge is the strongest of the 7 bridges, it's not complete. The reason I can use the reincarnation divine ability is related to my cultivation technique. It's something that I deduced myself. Screech. Before Yi Mo finished, there was another tearing sound in the void. That woman is here again. Let's split up. We'll meet again if we have the chance. Then Yi Mo flashed and disappeared from the mound. Ning Cheng was also not slow. He changed his direction and also disappeared from sight. The laws of heaven and earth in the tomb of the god of heaven and earth were shattered and messy, but they were much stronger than the outside world. Even if that woman came, she wouldn't be able to easily find him with spirit sense. Moreover, the tomb of the gods of heaven and earth was full of dangers. If one was not careful, one would fall into it. Ning Cheng knew why the Divine Tao sect leader didn't say to join up. Their cultivation level was too low. Even if they used the 7 bridges together, they would only be able to stop her for a while. He had already used this move once. If he used it again, he might not even be able to keep his life. He might as well split up and rely on luck to escape. Ning Cheng ran towards the depth of the mound like crazy while making up his mind to learn the 7th Samsara bridge if he had the chance. Only when the 7 bridges fused together would it be a true top-grade great god art. She stood on the blue lotus at the border of the mound and frowned. She hadn't been here before, but she had heard of the dangers here. If it was said that she didn't care about the mausoleum of the gods of heaven and earth before, she had to be careful now. Up until now, she didn't know who ambushed her at the top of Jiaoyang Mountain. It was clear that once they crossed the Jiaoyang Mountain, this place would be filled with danger. She only hesitated for a moment before she stepped into the tomb of the god of heaven and earth. No matter how dangerous it was, she couldn't let 2 guys with good fortune treasures escape from under her nose. She shuddered at the thought that she would obtain 3 creation treasures if she killed those 2 ants. It was a kind of excitement that was difficult to restrain. At her level of cultivation, what couldn't she restrain? Only the 3 treasures of good fortune belonged to her at the same time, and she couldn't restrain herself. With 3 creation treasures, she would dominate the vast universe. No matter who it was, their fate would be in the hands of Xingxi. Ning Cheng knew that Xingxi was powerful, and his cultivation couldn't compare to the sacred Tao sect's sect master. Therefore, as soon as he entered the heaven-earth deity tomb, he immediately rushed towards the depths. No matter how dangerous the tomb of the gods of heaven and earth was, it was better than being in Xingxi's hands. In a dangerous place like the heaven-earth deity tomb, he might have a chance to survive. However, in Xingxi's hands, even his soul would be destroyed. A violent aura came from behind, and Ning Cheng cursed in his heart. He knew that the woman named Xingxi wasn't chasing after the sacred Tao sect's sect master, but him. That woman had chased after the sacred Tao sect's sect master for a long time but hadn't succeeded. Now, she definitely wanted to kill him first. In comparison, a primordial chaos sacred emperor like him was probably a piece of cake in that woman's eyes. I have to succeed in Tao integration as soon as possible. Ning Cheng felt an increasing sense of urgency. Given his recent insights, although it was difficult to succeed in Tao integration in a short time, it wasn't impossible. He was really unlucky. If he hadn't escaped here, he wouldn't have walked right into the trap. Walking right into the trap? Ning Cheng's heart shook when he thought of this, and he instantly understood. Walking right into the trap? How could there be such a coincidence in the world? He had already torn through countless planes, so how did he happen to arrive outside the void city of the falling immortal boat? Clearly, that woman forced him here on purpose. That woman wanted to kill him and the Divine Tao sect's sect master in one fell swoop, so she forced him here. Thinking about this, Ning Cheng's thoughts became clearer. The Divine Tao sect's sect master Yi Mo fled here of his own accord. After that woman chased Yi Mo here, the spirit sense avatar guarding him noticed that he was going to leave, so she used the spirit sense avatar to chase him. When he escaped, he didn't think much when he tore open the plane. He just wanted to go that way. Under the woman's intentional guidance, he came to the outskirts of the Jiaoyang Mountain. This was when he suddenly woke up and wanted to kill that spirit sense avatar. Otherwise, he would probably be forced to the Jiaoyang Mountain. Such a careful woman. Thinking about this, Ning Cheng suddenly changed directions. This woman was very scheming. If she stopped him at the heaven-earth deity tomb, he wouldn't be able to escape alone like the Divine Tao sect's sect master. The only way was not to run in the simplest direction. In any case, it would be fine as long as they didn't follow common sense. Xingxi, who was chasing Ning Cheng, exclaimed in shock. Just as Ning Cheng guessed, she was planning to force Ning Cheng out of the heaven-earth deity tomb. She was also worried that if they fought in the tomb of the gods of heaven and earth, it would cause a bigger commotion. She didn't expect this insect to be so smart and know what she was thinking. If he continued to run like this, how long would it take for him to succeed? Thinking about this, she couldn't care about the broken plane here anymore. She lifted her hand and tore open the void, wanting to stop in front of Ning Cheng by tearing open the void. The path that Ning Cheng spent so much effort to escape was shortened by more than half by this woman. Ning Cheng was very desperate and increased his speed to the extreme. However, he couldn't tear open the void here with his ability. Otherwise, he would try no matter how dangerous it was. She tore open the void and there was no danger. This made Xingshi breathe easy. As soon as she landed, she tore open the void again. As soon as the void was torn open, a spatial dislocation that completely surpassed the surrounding laws came. No matter how fast Xingshi reacted, the terrifying spatial dislocation still tore apart her dress. Bloody marks appeared on her smooth chest. If she had been a step slower, the terrifying spatial dislocation would have torn her body apart. Xingshi sucked in a breath of cold air. She didn't care about her clothes covering her body and quickly flew back. At the place where she had torn open the void, the laws were even more chaotic and broken. Dao runes wreaked havoc in the place like the 9 levels of hell. Xingshi, who looked at this terrifying scene from afar, still felt some fear. Her strength was still too weak. Perhaps only a true Unity Realm expert or even a Creation Realm expert would be able to move freely in this place. Slowly calming herself down, Xingshi took out a new dress and put it on before looking for Ning Cheng's traces. It was just that with this delay, Ning Cheng had already disappeared into the depths of the Heaven-Earth deity tomb. More haste, less speed. Xingshi finally understood the meaning of this sentence. She wouldn't give up. Even if she had to search here for tens of thousands of years, she would find these two fellows with good fortune treasures. Otherwise, once they succeeded in creating a realm, she wouldn't be able to do anything to them. Ning Cheng didn't know what happened to Xingshi, and he didn't dare to use his spiritual consciousness to check. With his speed, even if he didn't fall into some dangerous places in the Heaven-Earth deity tomb, he might still get crushed by the chaotic laws. But Ning Cheng didn't care about it at all. His speed was so fast that a void crack swept over. He didn't even have the ability to avoid it and was directly swallowed by the powerful void crack. Ning Cheng knew that this wasn't good and immediately brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City. The everlasting Blue Thunder City's artifact spirit had been seriously injured by the indestructible axe line and was still in tatters. But Ning Cheng could only rely on this protective weapon here. In just a few breaths, Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong. The place he came to now didn't seem to be the human world, but hell? No, this place obviously wasn't hell. In the places where his spiritual consciousness touched, some of the laws of heaven and earth were complete, while some of the laws of heaven and earth were broken. Some places didn't even have any laws. This was the first time Ning Cheng had felt such a strange situation. Generally, in a space, the broken laws would be broken, and the complete laws would also be complete. There would not be a similar situation like this. But this wasn't the strangest thing to Ning Cheng. What really made him feel strange was that apart from the laws of space, the laws of time were also different. If he hadn't come into contact with the laws of time, and if he hadn't used the laws of time as his trump card, he wouldn't have felt it. In some places, time flowed extremely fast. Staying in such a place for a quarter of an hour felt like several hours. There were also some places where time seemed to flow extremely slowly. In his spiritual consciousness, if he stayed in such a place for a year, only 10 days or half a month would have passed in the outside world. There were also places where the passage of time seemed to be normal, such as the place where he was lucky enough to stand. The sky around him was gray, and his spiritual consciousness couldn't see the end, nor could his eyes see the end. Faint Dao charm roars raged in this gray space. It seemed to come from far away, but at the same time, it also felt like it was right beside him. Everything showed that the place he came to was not a normal place. Ning Cheng carefully took a few steps forward, and with a kacha sound he felt something hard under his feet. Just as he was about to check it out, a majestic and vast Dao charm aura rushed over. This kind of majestic Dao charm aura, he couldn't even block or avoid it. Fortunately, Ning Cheng quickly discovered that this Dao charm aura was only left behind by a powerhouse and didn't pose any danger to him. This Dao charm aura contained the mysterious grand Dao of heaven and earth, as well as the endless aura of the origin of all things. Chapter 1316. Ning Cheng had already comprehended the threshold of Tao fusion before. Now that he felt the endless and more mysterious Tao charm aura of heaven and earth here, a kind of enlightenment suddenly surged in his heart. Perhaps this was the place for him to reach Tao fusion, but the laws of heaven and earth here were either complete or broken. How could he reach Tao fusion? Didn't they say that the laws of heaven and earth were broken, making it impossible for him to reach Tao fusion? Ning Cheng clenched his fists and even put away the everlasting Blue Thunder City. In any case, he had to figure out what Tao fusion was before reaching it. Otherwise, what was the use of becoming an ordinary Tao fusion Holy Emperor? In Ning Cheng's opinion, the most powerful Tao-confirming Holy Emperors were naturally like Xing Shi. Xing Shi was definitely a third-step powerhouse, but Ning Cheng guessed that before she reached the third step, she should have been a Tao fusion powerhouse. The second type of Tao fusion powerhouse was Tao Lord Chang Tian, whom he had met in the Grand Beginning Realm. When he met Tao Lord Chang Tian in the Grand Beginning Realm, Tao Lord Chang Tian should have just recovered his Tao fusion strength. Chang Tian's Tao fusion strength was far stronger than those he had met before, such as Ao Beijiang, Feng Xian, Shilin, and the others. From this, it could be seen that the difference in strength between people at the same Tao fusion realm was too great. In the vast universe, there were 3,000 Tao. These 3,000 might just be a general reference. Nobody knew how many real Tao there were, and nobody knew how many real Tao fusion paths there were. With so many Tao fusion paths, it was normal for there to be strong and weak ones. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng once again strengthened his confidence. No matter how many Tao fusion experiences he had heard, no matter how many Tao fusion methods he had obtained, only by comprehending them himself would he find the most suitable Tao fusion method. He casually picked up the hard object under his feet, but it turned out to be a fragment of a magic treasure. When Ning Cheng saw this magic treasure fragment, he knew that the level of this magic treasure was definitely not weaker than the Mountain River Dipper. Throwing away the magic treasure fragment, Ning Cheng felt a fire in his heart. Sure enough, there were treasures everywhere. He could easily find the fragments of top-grade magic treasures with a casual kick. Looking at the endless gray sky in front of him, Ning Cheng didn't retreat. Instead, he sped up and rushed into the depths. Boom, boom, boom. Endless Tao charm exploded in front of Ning Cheng's eyes. Even with Ning Cheng's vast knowledge, he still felt shocked by the vast scene in front of him. One after another, planets exploded in the void. Illusory giant hands casually crushed planets in the distance or smashed into them. The void space that was grabbed by the hands shattered and exploded. This, Ning Cheng sucked in a mouthful of cold air. What kind of scene was this? Very soon, he came to a realization. This was the trace of Tao runes left behind by the ancient mighty figures after a battle. The traces of Tao runes here could only reflect a shadow of the battle back then, but it was so terrifying. This gray space was also automatically separated by the traces of Tao runes left behind by the ancient mighty figures after the battle. No wonder I could see the heaven and earth deities' tomb mound last time. It turns out that these powerhouses really fight like this. Looking at the majestic aura of the planet in the distance, or rather, illusory majestic aura, Ning Cheng muttered to himself. At the same time, he felt his scalp tingling. At this moment, a deathly aura swept over. Ning Cheng's heart tightened, and he quickly hid in the mysterious yellow bead. Immediately after, his spiritual consciousness saw the endless blade lights and Tao charms sweeping across the mysterious yellow bead, tearing through the grayish space with its chi-chi sound. Ning Cheng felt a trace of fear in his heart. If he hadn't entered the mysterious yellow bead in time, he would not have been able to avoid the blade light's Tao charm. In the end, he would have most likely died. When the terrifying blade light's Tao charm swept past, Ning Cheng came out of the mysterious yellow bead with a trace of fear in his heart. It seemed that this place wasn't as safe as he thought. He could be swallowed up by the various Tao charm and slaughter aura at any time. Facing the blade light's Tao charm that almost took his life, Ning Cheng became even more careful. The deeper he went, the denser the explosions of the majestic spirit essence and Tao charm became. At the same time, all kinds of Tao charm intertwined with each other. Even if he hadn't experienced the battle back then, he could feel the number of powerhouses casting spirit techniques in this place from the dense intertwining of Dao charm. From time to time, all kinds of killing Dao charms swept over, but Ning Cheng had to hide inside the mysterious yellow bead every time. As time passed slowly, Ning Cheng went deeper into the endless killing Dao charm and constantly felt all kinds of Grand Dao auras. Within these Grand Dao auras, he constantly fused with his Grand Dao and stripped away the Dao charm laws that he didn't need. In the beginning, Ning Cheng relied entirely on his intuition to avoid the killing Dao charm by entering the mysterious yellow bead. But later, he gradually didn't need to enter the mysterious yellow bead to avoid these terrifying Dao charm slaughtering auras. Although the Dao charm slaughtering auras cut his corporeal body from time to time, Ning Cheng could feel his progress over the past month. This progress wasn't just in terms of spiritual consciousness and spirit essence, but also in terms of spirit techniques. The law-breaking finger blasted out with even more powerful momentum. Boom, another tearing Dao charm slaughtering aura blasted over. Ning Cheng had already experienced this before. He was just about to bring out the Good Fortune Divine Spear to test out the traceless spear pattern when he felt a familiar feeling from this killing aura. This was the aura of the indestructible Axe's axe line. Ning Cheng immediately felt uncomfortable in his heart. His everlasting Blue Thunder City's artifact spirit had returned to its original form because of the indestructible Axe's axe line's Dao charm. He himself had almost fallen under the indestructible Axe's axe line's killing intent. Now that he encountered the same indestructible Axe's axe line's killing intent, Ning Cheng didn't even think about it and shot out a finger. He couldn't block this axe line in the past. Now that he was a late-stage primordial chaos cultivator and had comprehended this slaughter space for a long time, he didn't believe that he couldn't kill this axe line of slaughter. Boom! The Dao charm in the space exploded, and the indestructible Axe's axe line's killing laws began to weaken the moment it collided with the law-breaking finger's Dao charm. A violent backlash swept over, and Ning Cheng felt as if his 5 viscera and 6 bowels had disappeared. At the same time, a fiery heat rose from his Zifu. The next moment, the axe line blasted him away. Gotcha! Ning Cheng landed on the ground and crushed the bones left behind by an unknown powerhouse. Although a mere axe line blasted him away, Ning Cheng's blood still boiled with excitement. Initially, under this axe line, he didn't even have the leeway to fight back and almost died. But now, he managed to scatter this axe line with just a finger. Not only that, but he also didn't suffer any damage. How could he not feel emotional about such an obvious improvement? Not bad. A puny primordial chaos cultivator. Not only did you manage to survive to this point, you can even block a remnant of the indestructible axe line. An abrupt voice reached Ning Cheng's ears. Ning Cheng clenched the Good Fortune Divine Spear and took a few steps back, before asking in a cautious tone, "Who is it?" A voice appeared in his ears. He didn't know that this powerhouse was too strong for Ning Cheng. You don't have to worry. If I want to seize your body, you can't escape." The voice spoke up again. This time, Ning Cheng finally noticed that the voice came from a void not far from him. If not for this voice suddenly appearing in the void, Ning Cheng definitely wouldn't have cared about this void. But at this time, Ning Cheng discovered that the voice coming from the void was not something he could use his spiritual consciousness to capture the specific situation in the void. Ning Cheng didn't believe the other party's words. He wasn't afraid of seizing his body. If he had the guts, then try it. Your strength is not bad. Since you came here, then don't even think about leaving the gods' graveyard mound's slaughter world. You can live until today, but it doesn't mean that you can live until tomorrow. Let this monarch make a deal with you. I will guide you out, but you have to help me find something and then bring it to me. The voice in the void once again spoke up in a leisurely manner. It should be an ancient powerhouse who didn't die. Since he could live until now, then he definitely was a powerhouse among powerhouses. Since he could only speak to him in the void, then there should be some kind of restriction. What do you want to find? Ning Cheng calmly asked. He neither agreed nor disagreed with it. He was still thinking about what kind of place this god's graveyard mound was, for it to have such a strange name. The voice in the void spoke up. After leaving the god's graveyard mound, there is a place called the Jialiang Sea. Since you came from outside the god's graveyard mound, then you should know what kind of place the Jialiang Sea is. There is a place in the Jialiang Sea called the White Bone Coral Forest. The reason for this name is that you can't get close to the seawater there. Once you get close, you will die. Can't get close to the seawater? The Jialiang Sea still has seawater? Ning Cheng thought to himself. The Jialiang Sea had dried up everywhere, without even a drop of seawater. Right? Ning Cheng understood that when this fellow was trapped in the god's graveyard mound slaughter world, the Jialiang Sea had not dried up yet. In the White Bone Coral Forest, there is an illusory crystal called the Illusory Sea Crossing Crystal. If you can find this Illusory Sea Crossing Crystal. The voice in the void had not finished speaking, but Ning Cheng understood it completely. It seemed that he had good luck. When he went to look for the Illusory Sea Crossing Crystal, he only saw the White Bone Coral Forest and not the deadly seawater. Otherwise, with the seawater in front of him that even the ancient powerhouses feared, he would never get close. Do you want the Illusory Sea Crossing Crystal? Ning Cheng immediately asked. The voice in the void spoke up faintly, I want the stainless water. This kind of thing can be found in the Absolute God River in the god's graveyard mound. But the stainless water must be stored in the Illusory Sea Crossing Crystal. Otherwise, even if you find the stainless water, it would not mean anything to me. Ning Cheng smiled in his heart. He had both of these things, and the stainless water on him was stored in the Illusory Sea Crossing Crystal bottle. But why should he give it to this fellow? Should he ask this fellow to guide him out? He hadn't reached Tao integration yet, so he didn't want to go out and be chased by that woman. Even if he wanted to go out, he would have to wait until he reached Tao integration. Since he met this old fellow, it would be convenient to ask him a few questions. Senior, I wonder if I can ask you a few questions? Ask away. The voice in the void seemed very casual. Ning Cheng immediately asked when he heard this, Senior, I know that there are 3 steps to Tao confirming. Why is the strength of the third step powerhouses I met so different from each other? Also, this junior doesn't know much about the heaven and earth 5 fates. I hope that Senior can guide me. Ning Cheng felt very puzzled about how many fades the heaven and earth humans had. Feng Huangmei was also a third step powerhouse, so why was his strength so garbage? Chapter 1317. Of course. A voice came from the void. There are big and small Taos. The great Tao has a small decay, the minor Tao has a big decay, the illusion Tao has a false decay, and the fake Tao has no decay. Then I heard that there are 3 declines and 5 declines. Could it be that those who experience the 3 declines are the great Tao and those who experience the 5 declines are the minor Tao? Not necessarily. One can also become a great Tao after experiencing the 5 blights. Great blight and minor blight can't be measured by the number of times. I've even seen experts who haven't experienced Deva blight. Ning Cheng didn't ask about this matter again. Combined with his previous insights, he felt that fusing his own Tao was the true grand Tao. There was no need to consider something like Deva's blight. Senior, I have another question. Senior, do you know who the owner of the Green Lotus of Fortune is? Ning Cheng was ready to ask this question and leave, but he did not expect that after the voice in the void heard Ning Cheng's question, it unexpectedly turned silent. Ning Cheng waited for the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn but did not hear any answer, as such he was too lazy to wait any longer. Since the other party didn't want to say anything, then forget it. Regardless of whether that woman was the original owner of the Green Lotus of Creation or not, it was useless for him to know about it since she wanted to kill him. The only way to survive was to improve his strength. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke, Many thanks for the advice, Senior. Goodbye. Wait. Just as Ning Cheng was about to leave, the voice from the void once again called out to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng looked back and spoke, Wait for this junior to think it over, then I will come to find Senior. Saying that, Ning Cheng no longer paid any attention to the voice, and instantly escaped. He wasn't in a hurry to find a way out. Right now, he was looking for an opportunity to fuse with the Tao. As for the stainless water, he didn't want to casually take it out. Even if he wanted to take it out, he would have to wait until he wanted to leave and couldn't find a way out. An hour later, Ning Cheng landed on top of a flattened mountain peak. He estimated that this mountain peak should be the remnant of a broken planet. One could sense all sorts of Tao runes of the great Tao of heaven and earth in the surroundings, but the flow of time and the heaven and earth laws were normal. The reason why Ning Cheng stopped here was that he wanted to fuse his Tao here and look for opportunities for Tao unification. Ning Cheng came to a standstill, and the surrounding world remained as chaotic as before. The laws of heaven and earth, which were either violent or gentle, continuously flowed within Ning Cheng's spiritual sense. Ning Cheng sensed the endless auras of the various grand Taos in this place before finally turning silent. 1 day, 10 days, 1 month, a primordial Tao charm started to form around Ning Cheng's body before gradually surrounding him. As time passed, Ning Cheng's entire person submerged within the endless Tao charm aura. At first, Ning Cheng tried to actively integrate the Tao charm around him to find a way to reach Tao unification. In the end, Ning Cheng completely immersed himself in it. Even his 6 senses had been stripped away and intertwined with the surrounding Tao charm aura. Some of the Tao charms and Tao thoughts that he had comprehended before but could not grasp the essence of it once again appeared in Ning Cheng's mind. The great Tao leads to the same destination, but different paths. The same path leads to 100 worries. The mortal Tao has no roots, no stems, no leaves, no glory. The mortal Tao, trillions of roots, trillions of withering and flourishing. All things grow, all things wither, all things disperse, all things combine, all things are the Tao. The Tao is the resonance of heaven and earth, the unity of millions and millions, and then success can be seen. Billions of fused into one, billions of fused into one. The surging Taoist rhymes were like a vast sea of smoke. Ning Cheng had not been in the slaughter world for a long time. As such, he did not know that the peace and stability of this place could change at any time. Even the giant peak he was on didn't exist in the first place. Instead, it was the result of the endless flow of Tao charm over countless years. At this moment, when Ning Cheng was completely immersed in his own Tao enlightenment, the calm world around him began to turn violent. The chaotic laws also gradually permeated over, and the previously complete world laws also burst apart at this moment. Some of the chaotic and broken laws of time slowly enveloped Ning Cheng, but Ning Cheng, who was within it, was completely unaware of it. He didn't know that the laws of time in the space he was in had changed due to the changes in the world laws. It was no longer the ordinary flow of time. Instead, it was like a time array disk with the flow of Tao charm flowing rapidly. When the vague Tao charm that was about to be grasped by the sudden flow of the laws of time, Ning Cheng immediately lost the feeling of grasping it. Vaguely, Ning Cheng felt that the laws of the space he was in had changed. It seemed to no longer be the complete world laws. In his perception, if he wanted to reach Tao unification, he must be in a space with complete world laws. It was just like how the Grand Essence Realm couldn't reach Tao unification because the world laws of the Grand Essence Realm were incomplete. But at this time, Ning Cheng didn't want to wake up from that enlightenment. He had spent a lot of time entering this state, and just when he was about to grasp the feeling of Tao unification, it suddenly disappeared. If the world laws were broken, how could he understand the Tao? But why did he still have a feeling that he could touch his own Tao? Since he could grasp his own Tao under such circumstances, why did he have to pursue the Tao that others said was complete? What suited him was the best. So what if the world laws were incomplete? Since it was his Tao, it was his laws. The laws of heaven and earth were derived from heaven and earth, and his laws were derived from his Tao. Ning Cheng started to understand his own Tao sense. At this time, not to mention the broken world laws around him, he even ignored the space wrapped in the Tao charm of time. Under this space, Ning Cheng began to merge with his Tao. Some violent Tao charm blade lights passed through the Tao charm space wrapped around Ning Cheng. But before these violent blade lights could hit Ning Cheng's body started to distort strangely. Ning Cheng avoided those Dao charm blade lights without exception. At this time, he was the Dao, and the Dao was him. He was infinitely close to his own Dao. 1 year, 10 years, peak primordial chaos, perfected primordial chaos. In this broken law space, Ning Cheng didn't know how much time had passed, but he still continued to merge with his Dao sense. His cultivation continued to increase, but the Dao charms still didn't show any signs of merging. The mountain peak under his feet, which had its top shaved off, had long since disappeared in the endless violent flow of Dao charm. Even the place where Ning Cheng stood wasn't the original place. But because his Dao was getting more and more integrated, it gathered all kinds of broken laws around him and wrapped him in the middle. His space was also tumbling in the slaughter world's Dao rune space. Time, space. In the space where Ning Cheng had merged with his Dao, everything was chaotic and none of the laws were complete. Ning Cheng still didn't move. He even ignored the passage of time in the space where he was and continued to merge with his Dao sense. He was different from others. It hadn't been long since he advanced to primordial chaos. Even if he had the mysterious yellow formless and the comprehension of the origin, he lacked the accumulation of time. Dao integration had always been a natural process. Perhaps after countless years, he would suddenly encounter some kind of fortuitous encounter, and he would naturally succeed in Dao integration. But now, he had to force himself to Dao unification. Because if he didn't conform to the Dao, he would die. He had the comprehension of the recalling Bodhi seed and his own understanding of the Dao. Maybe these weren't enough, but he still came to the slaughter world. There were endless fallen powerhouses here. Even if these powerhouses fell, some of their Dao meanings still existed. The Dao meanings of these existences were either strong or weak. More importantly, there were all kinds of attributes of Dao charm and Dao meanings here. However, Ning Cheng was a cultivator with a full spiritual root. It was even more difficult for such a cultivator to integrate his own Dao charm. The endless Dao charm aura of the slaughter world made him feel as if he had fallen into a Dao charm and Dao meaning repository. There were all kinds of attributes of Dao charm and Dao meaning here. 100 years, 1,000 years. After an unknown amount of time, Ning Cheng's entire body shook, and he opened his eyes. The next moment, the billowing Dao charm tumbled around his body. The Dao charm rang out in the void, and Ning Cheng felt that his whole body had become completely different. The laws between heaven and earth had become clearer. Even if he was in a space with broken laws, he felt that he was about to control the laws of this space. A clear understanding surged in Ning Cheng's heart, and he suddenly roared. My Dao is the mysterious yellow formless, and I don't follow the mysterious yellow formless. My Dao fuses with my own Dao law, and all things return to one. My Dao breaks the laws and surpasses the origin. My Dao merge. The billowing Dao charm tumbled endlessly after the word merge. Even if the slaughter world was filled with the roar of Dao charm, it could not stop the clear sound of Dao charm during Ning Cheng's Dao unification. Powerful Dao charm laws emerged from Ning Cheng's body. Even if he stood still in the distance, the aura around Ning Cheng's body grew stronger and stronger. Gotcha! The broken time law space that originally wrapped around Ning Cheng suddenly exploded without warning. However, the circulation of Dao charm around Ning Cheng not only did not weaken, but it also grew stronger. The broken Dao charm laws hadn't even gotten close to Ning Cheng when it was blasted away by the violent Dao charm aura. Ning Cheng's heart surged, and he let out a long roar. His chest was filled with excitement and surging emotions. He grasped the extremely clear Dao runes. Regardless of whether the surrounding nomological aura was incomplete or complete, it became even clearer in his mind. At this moment, the person Ning Cheng was most grateful to was Nian. Nian had told him not to rely too much on the mysterious yellow bead, or even to use the mysterious yellow bead for Dao unification. He did have the idea of using the mysterious yellow bead for Dao unification, but now he felt the power and bright prospects of his own Dao unification. Not everyone could do it, but he did it. Boom! Another roar sounded, and Ning Cheng looked at the creation divine spear that suddenly floated in surprise. He didn't expect that after his Dao unification, The creation divine spear would also devour the Tao charm of heaven and earth and successfully advance from a middle-grade spirit artifact to a high-grade spirit artifact. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.